What's up, everyone? Welcome to Betamax. My name is Fidel, and I just wanted to come in here before the episode starts and give everybody a heads up that the conversation in this episode does get pretty serious. It does get pretty dark. There are some conversation topics as far as suicide goes, so please proceed with caution and take care of yourselves. Everything's plugged in. Is the level for the headphones okay?
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mine's pretty loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You could probably turn mine down a little bit, actually. Right there.
Good.
That's good. That's
Yeah?
good. Yeah, that's good.
All right.
I like that.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That didn't even register.
No?
No.
Tight.
Wait, is yours even on?
What?
Yeah, it's on.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I'm like the unwanted kid playing Nintendo unplugged.
Damn.
That's what's up.
You're the one that doesn't have it plugged in, huh? That's true.
Oh, I am plugged in though, right?
Yeah, you're plugged in.
What?
Into the Matrix.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Betamax. My name is Fidel. Joining me on this episode is Eddie and Jose.
What'd it do?
You're like the unofficial member of Betamax now.
I like that.
It'll never be official, though.
I know. Good riddance.
Take it away, Eddie.
What?
What are we doing?
Why am I on the spot? We're talking about mental health.
Why?
I don't know.
What made you want to talk about this?
Um,
You felt left out or what?
yeah. No, I've never been on a serious episode. And I've been on this podcast for how long?
Since the beginning.
What year did it start?
2019.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's always us like pulling around the few serious episodes. I just
He's not
haven't-
on it.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, let's talk about something that I am familiar with, mental health.
Nice.
But I think what gave me the idea, like I didn't know it was like men's mental health in June
Yeah.
month, whatever. So that just kind of gave me the idea, like, oh, we should do it because I don't think we've had an episode on that. I think we've touched on it.
Yeah.
But to have like an episode dedicated to it, I don't think we have. But that was just the gist of it. Like I do feel like it is important because like I feel like men's health isn't really something. I mean, guys just don't talk about it.
Yeah. It's not a normal thing.
Yeah, it's not like in your normal like everyday conversations. On average, it's not, I guess. So I just kind of wanted to, let's shed some light on it, and not necessarily just men, but just mental health in general.
Well, I mean, we're three dudes.
Yeah, that's why
so
I
like,
figured.
like we can only speak from that
Yeah.
perspective.
So that was like the thing. I was like, okay, so that's kind of why, like it just kind of light bulb went off.
No, that's
Let's
cool.
do it. But
What made you want to do that with me?
Yeah, I was just about to ask him that.
because I've heard you talk about it before.
Hmm.
And I feel like you got some good insight for it. And I was like, damn. Immediately, I was like, okay, like I know for sure, like you guys have kind of, dealt with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't want to be like the only one that has anything to contribute. And I feel like if it was just me and
Fidel.
Fidel is her name. Yeah, it would just be like, oh, I don't know. Like I just wanted a third person on it.
No, that's cool.
I think having a third person is good too because we do fuck around a lot.
Yeah.
That's another thing, dude. Like,
Like we fuck around a lot. Like
You'll
even
keep
if
me
we
on
try to be
check.
serious. Yeah,
Dude.
and I feel like having a third person is good buffer to kind of keep it in line, basically.
yeah, like I take it shit more serious. I try not to goof around when
Yeah.
there's like when we have a guest.
Oh, okay.
Like
can see that.
you is a little bit different because like you are like a close friend, so like I'll still mess around, but it's hard, man. Sometimes like when we have guests on, I'm like they're like so serious and something will pop in my head. I'm like I want to say something, but I'm like biting my tongue. Like nah. Let's keep this serious.
I wish you would do that more, dude.
Me too.
Do it, dude. Fuck it.
What about my tongue?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Damn.
Yeah.
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, shut up, Fidel.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm out of here.
That's what's up.
But yeah, I don't know how to segue from this, so take it away, Jose.
Well, okay, I'll do the segue. Thank you everybody for joining us. No, we Jose and I had that episode where we talked about like that one video, you know, like just. So I feel like we have had the episode on it, but we haven't had. I don't think I've ever had like a discussion with you, like a full discussion.
No.
Even though we've been friends for so long.
Yeah.
Like we have had our serious talks here and there, but as far as like just a discussion on like especially our own mental health with each other, there's never really been a full discussion.
I feel like it's always been there, but we've never talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think we've only had serious conversations when it involves other friends
That
or like
too.
family and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's just us two, like I don't know, like I think it's just like that homie thing where it's just like I only roast and talk shit about like my closest friends.
Yeah.
Like if so it's hard to be serious when you're at that level of friendship.
We roast the ones we
sometimes.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, especially like with me and Fidel, because like we could be at a funeral and we'd like be giggling in the back.
Or
Like,
immature
it's
as
bad.
fuck.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Especially Fidel.
Wait, what?
All right, stop, dude.
See?
That's it.
Well, I appreciate you thinking that of of me, you know, reaching out to me, you know, because I mean, I like conversations like this, you know, like I prefer like those deeper type of conversations, you know, not that like, you know, I don't have a sense of humor or anything because obviously we fuck around with each other equally, you know, but you know, this is an important thing too, you know, like you can't just like compartmentalize like everything, you know, and keep it to yourself and like, you know, there it is a little taboo, you know, to speak on, you know, like men's mental health because of just like, you know, machismo and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so it's cool to be able to kind of just have a conversation about that. You know, it hasn't been I mean, we've talked about like mental health related stuff before, and us too. You know, especially on that previous episode, but like not like together like this. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
So I have a question for you, Eddie. Was there an issue like in your house to like you can't show a certain emotion because you're a boy? Like was that a thing in your household?
I think just growing up like in a Mexican household
Yeah.
with like a typical like Mexican macho dad, like you kind of I feel like it's just like kind of universal like, across the board when it comes to that, like, you know, because my dad was never the type to like show like emotion. Yeah, like he wasn't like a dickhead or anything like that, but he definitely like it just wasn't there. Like I always knew, of course, that, you know, he loves me, but he would show me by doing stuff rather than telling me, you know, like, you know, he obviously provided for us. He spoiled me with whatever I wanted growing up. Like, but he was always there. Whenever, you know, I did have a problem and I went up to him, he would tell me, but I think that there was like always like a wall up between us about, you know, being open.
Like you didn't know how to connect.
Yeah.
like on a more emotional level.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like a common thing.
I would say so too, because I mean, you basically described the same scenario as me, you know, because I mean, your dad is what, first generation, or are you first generation?
Like are your parents from Mexico or are they born here?
No, so yeah, I guess I would be first.
Yeah, see, my dad was first generation, you know, so even then, like I'm not that far disconnected from it being, because it's a cultural thing as well, you know. There's that factor.
Yeah, it's like, you know, don't show emotion, don't be a pussy.
Yeah, like I'll give you a reason to cry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I would say I grew up in that typical where, like, I wasn't afraid to show it, but I think just, I don't know, taking that role model of my dad, like I kind of like was like him, and like looking at it like now, like growing up, like I probably am the closest, like, as, you know, like I guess like I have my dad's mannerisms and things like that, you know, because I do like, it's not hard for me to open up, but I also like don't just do it out of nowhere, or, like it's because I know people that's just super easy.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to them about an issue and they'll unload on you.
That might just be because of like their environment was more welcoming to something like that.
Yeah, like they didn't have to think twice about it. You
No,
know?
they, like it was
Like comfortable and
yeah,
normal.
like I think you can call it that. That's what they call like emotional, like availability. You know, like I guess he's from that perspective of like the dad that identifies as the like provider, the protector, go to work, I bring the money, do the thing, you know, and then the mom takes care of the kids, you know. So then their idea of showing love is just their time that they have, you know, the money that they bring in, they utilize it to do fun things, to buy you fun shit, you know.
Cause I imagine like their dads were probably hard as hell, dude. I can imagine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I've heard stories about like how like my dad and his brothers were disciplined, and it's like, it sounds wild. You know,
they got the
yeah,
belt, the
stuff like that. You know,
yeah, because like growing up, like watching like I don't know, like Seventh Heaven or something like that. Like you're like, what? Like people don't act like this. Like there's no families like this. It was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up, I'm like, nah, that doesn't happen. But then like I would see like friends like in elementary or middle school, like when I'd be hanging out over at someone's house, and it was weird to see like that relationship where like the dad would walk in and like my friend would go up to him and hug him, and he'd be like, oh, love you, dad. Like it was just like nothing. Like they didn't. It was just like a routine, I guess. And I thought that was weird. And it's just like, just because I wasn't that connected, that I didn't have that kind of connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Was that like that for you guys?
Not at all.
No.
No, it's almost the opposite, I guess. Because my dad, kind of similar. He never showed affection, never like conveyed emotion in any way. His way of like showing how much he cared was buying shit. You know, the typical, but he also was like never there. Like he was always working. Like every memory I have of like family gatherings or like us going anywhere, my dad is not there. Like he was always like working or side job, which meant he was probably like out like fucking around. Like, but I think the reason I'm so, because I'm very open. Like I'm very open with like what I've dealt with, like with my emotions and shit like that. And the reason I think is because of my sisters. Because the same thing with my mom, she wasn't very like attentive with stuff like that either. It was kind of almost like we were just there, just like other people in the house. We weren't necessarily like her children. We were just in the house. So it was my sisters that were, like my older sister, she was the typical like older brother like stereotype where she would like bully me, and like if I started crying, she'd be like, "Oh, don't be a fucking pussy." Like
big pan.
Yeah, basically. But at the same time, she was very affectionate with me. Like very affectionate with me.
Yeah.
Like so I do see my older sister as like a mother figure in my childhood.
Yeah, like they had like a more nurturing like nature about them in that aspect.
Yeah. So like I think that's probably why I'm so open, because she was so open with every type of emotion. And then also just seeing like the raw emotions in my house, because my mom has a serious anger problem. And she never tried to hide it. So like it was always chaos in the house, and like my dad was always the one like cowering and like protecting himself, where my mom would just let everything fly, like calling him every name in the book, like just seeing that anger was just like normal. So I never learned to like, oh, I need to hold like certain emotions in. It was just everything's just let out at all times. So
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's similar for me as well. Because I mean, my dad didn't show like a whole lot of emotion. You know, like I mean, he's human, so obviously he feels it. But obviously he has like that thing about him where he struggles with the like vulnerability. But like there's been moments when he's like shown like a softer side to him. You know, he has a great sense of humor. You know, but you know a lot of the time it was kind of like he was the enforcer, you know, and then he would be working a lot too. I mean, he had your typical like Monday through Friday, but I mean, he always commuted to work. So like he was always leaving super early and coming back super late, you know, and it was just Monday through Friday. So we had like our weekends where we do like family stuff, you know, but he was, you know, always working, you know. I mean, he made it to like all like the events and stuff. Looking back on like soccer and stuff, you know, like he was there. You know, my parents were both there. I remember like both my parents being there. You know, and doing the thing. You know, but you know there was still a little bit of that element. You know, like it's like oh you like oh I'm tired. You know, and it's like I've just always been an anxious person. You know, I think that's another thing that from like my experience. You know, just so I have like an anxious like baseline. You know,
Was that like growing up too? Like,
yeah, yeah,
as a kid.
yeah, yeah. I think nowadays it's more like I'm always on, like I have to have my guard up a lot. You know, it's what I think. You know, because it's like, you know, it's easy for me to take everything as like a personal attack. You know, because the experience that I've had like with other kids at school and stuff like that and such. So when I like, you know, when you have anxiety, like it makes you tired. You know, like I've always had a problem where like thinking about things like that have happened. You know, and it's like that ruminating all the time will make you tired. You know, so it's like yeah. So you know, you get burnt out and be like, man, I'm tired. It's like tired. You have to do something to be tired.
No,
And it's like, you know, so like what I realize now, it's like isn't that like gaslighting? You know, so like and that's kind of like goes back to like what we were saying about like that, like that's how like our dads were like brought up to be. It's like a condition that they have, you know, because of their concept of what it means to be a man, you know, what it means to be the head of the household, if you will, whatever, you know, like they have, it's like these certain parameters that they were boxed into, you know, and then anything outside of that, you know, because I haven't read anything anywhere that says that if you're a man, this is how you have to behave. This is how you handle your emotions, you know. So like who's like that's just some like arbitrary thing, you know. So, but yeah, you know, like I can definitely relate to, you know, how like there's like that level of disconnect, you know, emotionally in a way, you know, but not completely, you know, because I'm really grateful for the experience I've had like with my dad, you know, and you know, he's a good dad, you know, and you know he did everything that you know he could, you know, but I definitely think that he's victim to having had that like that some of that toxic masculinity like still embedded in like that cultural upbringing that he had, you know, both his parents were from Mexico, you know, so that has a lot to do with it, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I noticed that with a lot of like friends and coworkers and stuff. Like for instance, like in the kitchen, like I can tell when someone's just not having a good day. And if it's like usually like a girl, like I'll like, you know, hey, are you okay? And oh yeah, and then to kind of like, oh, this and this happened. Oh, my boyfriend this or my dad this, something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a guy and I can tell they're not having a good time, they're just oh, you know, girlfriend shit.
Yeah,
It's so different.
yeah, it's always like nah, like it's just some bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be some bullshit, man. Like, you know, like you can talk to me, you know. Like I've had people I work with who have confided in me like that, let themselves get a little bit emotional, you know.
Yeah.
And like I welcome that kind of stuff, you know, because like you need to be able to have that moment to process those things. Because I mean, like the less time you spend, you know, addressing the thing, you know, and the more you like compartmentalize it, I guess, you know, you're never addressing it. You're pushing to the side, you know, like say if it's like a priority, you know, like something I recently went over like with like my therapist, right? Like priorities, right? Say the way he wrote it down was like one is family, right? And then two is work, three is home, and then four is self, you know, like typically that's what you when you view like priorities, like that's how you would prioritize them, correct? You know, you ideally, I mean, you would, right?
Yeah.
But like they don't have to be rigid. Like it doesn't have to be like that every day, you know. So learning to kind of not adhere to something like that, where it's like, okay, maybe today it's work first, and then it's, you know, then it's family, then it's home, you know, and then the next day it's like, oh man, this place is kind of a mess, you know, so I got to prioritize home today, you know. But like if you continue to like prioritize everything else and put yourself at the bottom, then you're never addressing the things, you know, and those things are just gonna just build up and, you know, just kind of linger in your subconscious in a way, I guess, you know, because and that's how you get tired and stressed, and you know you can react like in a way that's, you know, man, like you regret it sometimes, you know, like being quick on the trigger because you know you have some pent up like frustration about something, you know, and then a lot of the time when it does come out, like you're angry, you know, because like the only anger or the only emotion like men can feel, you know, is anger, you know, like in like the broad spectrum of it, you know. So it's like if you're angry, then
It's like if you see an angry guy, it's like, oh well. And then you see a guy crying, it's like, what the fuck?
yeah, like
It's like
yeah, it's weird. It's like even at my son's baseball team, like there's the team manager, and our season got cut short. There's a little bit of politics involved, but at the end of the day, we were eliminated, and he really felt like he put it on himself, and like he must have felt like he disappointed the team. He disappointed the families because this guy was very thorough, like not having. I couldn't imagine doing that part of the season without this dude being so efficient. So he really put himself out there in a way, and when he was trying to deliver the news to us, like it took him a while to get to it because he became emotional and he started crying. And like there's like 14 kids on the team. Like all their parents were there, and like we're all just like surrounding this guy in a big circle, and he's sitting there just like crying.
Center of attention.
You know what I mean?
And
yeah, and then like and it's kind of like nobody knew what to do, you know. And for me, I thought it was cool, you know. Like I was like, man, like I can appreciate how
The
like,
vulnerability.
how honest and like authentic this man is being right now. Like I really felt like I could connect with that,
Yeah.
you know. And I prefer, you know, being able to connect with people like on that, you know, emotional level. Like that's a, you know, that vulnerable place. Like that's when you can, you know, really get to know like somebody, you know. And I think that it's a shame that to stigmatize, you know, like mental health in a way to where you're not allowing, you know, men to be able to have that, you know, vulnerability when, you know, sometimes it matters in that moment to have that, you know, that release, you know, in a healthy way, you know, because I mean, like crying, I mean, I'd rather have someone cry because they're overwhelmed, you know, than feel like that they can't let that out and then have that turn into rage and then flip the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like that's just counterproductive for them, you know? And like, how are you going to reach that person, you know, to comfort them when they're, you know, so stuck in their ways
on that high level.
Exactly. You know? So I don't know. I just think that it's, I think it's a cool, you know, I mean, this is definitely a cool, like, discussion to have about that, especially, you know, in honor of men's mental health, because it is kind of like a like a stigmatized thing for a man to like want to seek that. Because like I'm not ashamed of the fact that like I see a therapist on a regular basis, you know. Like it's just, you know, cars need tune-ups, you know what I mean? Like people talk often about like diet and exercise, right? Like for your body, right? But what about your mind? You know, like it's no different, you know, like routine maintenance, if you will. Like I've gone this far, right? And everything that I've done, you know, which is usually bad habits because of, you know, coping mechanisms, you know, I'm eager to grow. I'm eager to be a better version of myself, you know, and that gives me an opportunity to do that maintenance, you know, because I have two people I have to model for, you know, and like my daughter's special needs, you know, so like I have to keep into account that, you know, she may need to have certain levels of assistance later into her life. So like I have a son that I have to like, I feel like I have to like model for him how to help take care of her, you know what I mean? So like I can't do that if I'm not maturing myself, you know? So I think it's important, especially if you're a father, you know, if you have unresolved things, like there's no shame in doing what you got to do for yourself, you know, because I mean, the goal is to always get better. The goal is to always improve. If you stay the same, you know, like you haven't moved the needle, you know what I mean? And like, you can't expect change to just happen. You have to put in that effort. I mean, like you don't just wish you're going to get buff. Like you have to go to the fucking gym. You have to eat right, you know? Like you have to do those things. Like you have to put in the work, you know? If you're not, then you're just continue to be unhealthy, you know? And that's the same thing with your mind. You know, I'll go as far as to say, like, I think diet and exercise goes for the mind, body, and the soul, you know, and the soul is just how you interpret, like, your morality, if you will, you know?
Dude, I preach the hell out of that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to sit here and subscribe to the idea that, like, a soul is like this aura inside you and then it belongs to God or whatever, you know? Like, that may be something that I believe in, you know? But at the end of the day, it's the core of who you are, the energy that you create within yourself and then you exchange with the others around you, you know?
Yeah.
And it, like, what makes you you, like, what helps you determine the difference between what's right and what's wrong, you know? Like, you need to feed that too. That needs diet and exercise, you know? If meditation, you know, to practice mindfulness, you know, to be present in the moment, you know, that's good for your soul, if you will, you know? So I definitely think it's like, I'm very pro mental health. I mean, a therapist isn't for everybody, you know. Sometimes things like medication could help some people, but I will say that I agree that, like, the whole pills don't teach skills thing. So it's still not a bad idea to even pair those together, you know, because if you, like, say you take like an antidepressant, that's just going to help you, like, with the imbalances, right? So that you can, you know, it helps, like, for me when I was on an SSRI, like, it really helped with, like, a lot of the physical, like, ailments that I feel like I was causing for myself because of the chronic and constant, like, levels of anxiety and depression, right? So, I mean, I haven't taken those in a long time, you know, and I just feel like I'd rather not, you know. I feel like that I've been there and I've done that, and, you know, try something new, you know, and I'm not afraid to talk about that, you know. And if somebody thinks that's weird, fuck you, you know. Like, I know what's right for me, you know. I'm keeping myself and my children in mind, you know, my wife, you know, like, they deserve the best version of myself, you know, and I'm dedicated to giving that to them and to me, you know. Like, there's no shame in, like, feeling like, oh, I'm a king and I should be treated like such, you know. Like, no one's gonna treat you better than you, you know. Like, I love me, you know, and I need to prove that to myself, you know what I mean? And that's not something that I'm ashamed of, you know. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Like, if they think that that's not manly enough, show me where the fuck it says that, you know, because that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, like, because what I'm talking about is coming from a place of, like, this is what being a father means to me. This is what being a husband means to me. This is what being a good friend means to me, you know? And I identify as a, you know, as a cis male, you know? So, like, I mean, it doesn't bother me none, you know what I'm saying? So, if someone thinks otherwise, your insecurities are showing, bro. You know, like, you're straight up, you're afraid, you know, and that's all right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's one thing I do always tell people. Like, one thing is, check out a therapist if you need to. Like I said, it doesn't work for everyone. Same thing with pills. It can save a life, or it could just not make a difference. Either or.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
No. And you can shop around for, like, therapists, because I like the dude that I visit with now. I mean, I've had a few before, you know, and I've undergone, like, different types of like, treatments or techniques, if you will. And, like, you know, some of them I'm just like, oh, it doesn't, like, this one doesn't click. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like sitting across from the couch from somebody, you'd have it be like an open-ended thing. It doesn't seem very helpful, you know, but, like, sometimes it is, because, like, I might just need the room to just vent, you know, and, like, and if I do that with my wife, she's just gonna think I'm just bitching again. You know, you know, like, and it doesn't help with the you know, voice in my head that says, like, man, see, this is why everybody thinks you're fucking annoying, right? So, like, it gives me that safe space to where I can have these feelings and I can have these thoughts and I can experience these emotions in a healthy way, and, you know, express myself, because I have to express myself, dude. Like, it's like caging a bird, dude. You know, I have this insatiable urge to express myself, you know, and if I don't have the ability to do that, you know, I'm going to lose my mind, you know? So having a space to do that is super healthy. Like, it's super healthy. Like, if you're, like I said, again, if you're into working out, like...
I mean, they're professionals for a reason. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I had a therapist in high school, and I think I went through, like, 3 or 4 of them before I found, like, one that I was like, okay, this person's not bad. So, and, because at first I didn't know you could even do that. I thought, like, you're just assigned, you have to, like, you have to force a bond, I guess. But it wasn't like that at all. So, like, so I think it took, like, 3 or 4 before. It wasn't for me, therapy. But I think it did help. looking in hindsight, but you know,
Because somebody was there for you in a way that you needed.
yeah,
Because like you're saying, like your dad wasn't that person for you. Correct?
yeah.
So now what you're saying is this
So-
person gave you the chance to do that. And then so in hindsight, maybe you're able to think like, oh, I'm glad I had that experience because, imagine if you didn't.
Yeah, and I think it got me out of classes, so I was like, hell yeah.
That's always a plus,
Yeah.
dude.
No, but yeah, I think it did help. It's not like I thought it was like a waste of time. I just felt like, I think at that time I'm like, dude, I just want to go hang out with my friends. Like I just did not want to do that. I thought like the typical thing, like I didn't tell anyone because I was like, nobody, like it's weird. Like I'm a fucking weirdo for going to therapy, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I've done that before.
Yeah, and like so I something I didn't talk about with people, but I did do that for a couple years in high school, and once I felt like okay, I'm cool now, I'm like at a okay level in my head where I think I'm okay. Like I kind of went off, and that door was always open to me. Like even after high school, like I was always able to like connect with them if I needed to, but I never did again. But I'm glad that that option was always there because it was like almost like a safety net in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so and that's high school is when I started going I stopped eating meat because I started like researching it and doing my my stuff, and that's where the whole diet thing comes in. And I'm like, dude, when I stopped eating like all the bad shit, all the fast food, like that's when I felt like amazing, dude.
Yeah, when you're not ingesting toxins on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
because I mean, what is it like? Your gut makes serotonin, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, there's many studies that basically summarize saying that like your gut is kind of like a second brain, like how linked they are,
Yeah.
Like so taking care of your, like say managing a healthy gut microbiome is important,
Yeah.
if you're serious about, doing the work for yourself from a mental health perspective, No, that's very true, dude.
Yeah, and so like around high school, that's when I started like eating healthier, and that's when I remember it's like drinking my first like green juices, and just thinking like this is the most disgusting thing ever. Because that was like a time when I was still like drinking like a ton of Dr. Pepper all the time,
Yeah.
like
That's what's
soda.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking like,
Yo, but that shit's gas though, dude.
It
I
is,
love
dude.
Dr. Pepper, dude.
Fuck yeah.
So I would chug it, dude. Just in my head, I was like, okay, this is like fuck. It's like oiling my body up. Like that's the way I would think of it. And so I would just kind of like force myself to.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that because I remember, like after Sergio had passed away, it was maybe like around like the summer, so maybe a few months later. Yeah, it was like July or August. I had decided to be vegan, right? And I had committed to it. Like, I went balls to the wall, man. I was very serious about it, and I was vegan for a few years. And I remember somebody asked me, they're like, "Dude, why'd you go vegan for?" Like, what the fuck, man? Like, as if it was like a negative thing.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I was like, well, I mean, it's like I'm just in a really shitty spot, like having to try and still deal with like one of my best friends like dying unexpectedly. Like I was grieving, and I was very unhealthy. That's when I was like almost 250 pounds, like everything about me was just utterly unhealthy. So that was a way for me to be like, okay, I'm going to commit to something that's going to give me a little bit of purpose, bring a little bit of positivity into my life. And I committed to it. And I thought it went a long way. I mean, I lost so much weight, like by the time I had started my new job, like that following like December or January, I was like 190 pounds, so I had put in the work,
Yeah.
and I felt better, and it did a lot for me, so it's interesting you say that because like I thought the same thing, and isn't it interesting that like say if you want to stop drinking, or you want to eat like vegan and shit, people are like, why are you how come you're not drinking anymore? Why are you straight edge, fool? Like all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like it's like it's a bad thing to go
Yeah.
like
It's
and
just a
take care
social
of
thing,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like fuck you, dude. Like I gotta take care of me too, bro. Like, and sometimes just I like you need something to kind of motivate you and something to work on to achieve, you know?
And I feel like definitely like diets are extremely underrated when it comes to mental health. Like I feel like everyone does, you know, the typical like, oh, you know, workout, like, which is important too. Like obviously exercise is really important, but when it comes to food, like I feel like that's not discussed enough.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like it's just something that people, I guess, are just so addicted to bad habits, like eating wise, like that they just don't think about it. They try
Mm-hmm.
not to think about it, and if you do bring it up, it's just like, I'm
Well,
okay.
even like, you know, like alcohol, you
Mm-hmm.
know, things like alcohol, like the more time that you spend giving that to your body on a regular basis, like that's going to have an effect on
Yeah.
on your mental health. I mean, there was a period in time not long ago where I was taking a break from like everything, you know, and I mean, I tell you, like it was like 2 months where I was just like shit. I can tell that I'm detoxing, you know, like big time, and
You felt it.
bro, like you
Yeah.
know, but I felt great afterwards, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it kind of put me in a perspective. It kind of put me in a place now where, like, you know, even though like obviously I'm drinking a beer, but like uh, I have a little bit more, like my hands are on the wheel a little bit better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to take that two steps back. You know what I mean? And it's given me a little bit, at least that little bit, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to detox and to realize like and to help me.
I
It's like
think
oh, I can maintain a little bit more control over
doing it
the
every
habits.
so often, I feel like it's a good thing. Because
Yeah.
I do that with coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it was like 2 3 weeks ago, like I gave it up for a couple days. Like not like in my head, I wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna drink it. I was like, oh, I'm busy. I don't have time to grab a coffee today. And I noticed like 3 or 4 days, I was just like, I feel like I'm getting sick because I felt so tired.
Mm.
And I remember like knocking out early, and like I remember like just hanging out with like Ellie like after work and being like, I don't know why I'm so tired, and it just didn't click in my head. I'm like, I haven't had caffeine,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was like, dude, um, I think I was like on a Friday, I ended up getting a cup. Dude, I felt like I was on crack. Like I was like, man, this is like this cup of coffee is so good. I feel so good right now. That it
Dude.
just that total mood swing, dude. Like a happy mood swing. But it just like I'm telling you, like it's so like the way you eat, stuff you consume, it's so important to like
Yeah.
everything. Like that is you, you know.
100%. I mean, like, I originally did like my fast because it was for Lent, you know, which is something that I participate in, you know.
What'd you give up? Or
Just like my my vices.
okay.
Yeah, like I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, like anything. I was basically straight edge,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I went after like after Easter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know, it just makes me realize like the importance of it, you know. Like there's like fasting for just general health reasons, mind, body, and soul, you know, is important, you know, like a tolerance break, if you will, like
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. I mean, like those things can help, you know. At least they do with me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and I feel like it also helps with like you don't really know until you give it up, like how much of it you were consuming, and like
Yeah.
you know, like
Mhm.
when you stop drinking alcohol, you kind of like, oh, what do I do? Because it becomes like a routine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, dude. Because I mean, honestly, like, dude, I would drink every day.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't get like fucked up or anything, but like straight up drinking, like,
It just became routine.
it just became like a routine, dude.
Yeah.
And like, not to mention like, like I'm a dopamine stacker, dude. So like, when I'm like okay, like I'm say like on a Friday, you know, weekends here, dude. Like, it's super easy for you to find me in the garage, right?
Mhm.
I'll be smoking a joint. I'll have this thing, you know. I'll have some beers going, you know, like, and I'll have, you know, I'll be making beats, and I'll have like something playing on the TV. So I'm just overloading on the dopamine, you
Yeah.
know, and you know that can be dangerous, you know, because then you can formulate those habits, you know, because it feels so good, you know. I mean, that's why addicts are addicts, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and even I listened to that one podcast episode that Jimmy was on, and he had mentioned like, you know, one thing that he would recommend to anybody who's coming off of like an addiction or trying to go to the gym,
Mhm.
you know, go to the gym, like start replacing that with something that's better for you, because it's gonna give you the same like dopamine hit.
It's almost like you're swapping one addiction for another.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. At least that's what it sounded like to me when I what I gathered from it.
Yeah.
And it's like same with going vegan. Like you're not changing like the fact that you need to fucking eat.
Yeah.
It's just changing the quality and the quantity of the foods that you might be eating. And that can go those little changes, and like you can't expect to see like results right away.
No.
You have to make sure that you're like,
yeah, because sometimes your body, even if you're doing something healthier, it's just not used to it, or and it's just it'll like mess you up. Because I remember when I did first go vegetarian, almost felt like my body was having withdrawals from the meat too. Because I just remember feeling like tired, and this was like in high school, so obviously I wasn't eating what I should have been eating. I was a horrible like vegan, like I was a peanut butter and jelly like potato chip like kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when like Evan was living with me, and like, I mean, I have nothing but respect for like his commitment to like his ideas and his what he's about. And I just remember like in retrospect, I can say this, like he would always make like these just like potatoes, like just sliced potatoes, and he'd like fry those on the pan, and he would just lather them up. And I bet you like if you were to ask him now, he would say like, yeah, man, I wasn't like the best vegan like at that time, like because yes, I wasn't eating.
It's
the
hard
meat,
when you're young, dude.
I wasn't eating the eggs. I wasn't doing the dairy and such. But like overloading on those carbs and just the potatoes alone. You know what I mean? Not knowing that like that turns into sugars and that so on and so on.
I feel like when you're young, like you feel so good, like your body's just it could adapt to almost anything you throw at it. So it's just like. That's how I was.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I was
dude.
eating like shit, but I felt fine, so I didn't think anything of it.
That's another good point, dude. Because I definitely believe that like as you get older, your body's not gonna process the food the same way. Like
if I don't get a full night's sleep, dude, I'm like grumpy. Like I just don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, dude.
Where it's like back in the day in my early 20s, I can like get like an hour of sleep and function okay.
Yeah, dude. Like I mean, like I can recognize it. It's like, man, I can't do dairy anymore, dude. You know, like because I like putting like green cheese burrito, like putting cheese on shit. But it's like, bro, that's pizza. But like, dude, that fucks me up, man. And like as a teenager, bro, ham. You know what I mean? No mercy. No carne asada fries, dude. No fucking mercy, dude.
Yeah.
Like I would fuck those up in a heartbeat. Dude.
The go-to drunk meal.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go
Right
now. I'm so down. But like, dude, I can't. Like sometimes, like when my brother and I went to go do that jam session, or even when we did the recording at Andrew's studio, and then my brother and I had shared that plate of the super fries.
Yeah.
I mean,
at the time, it felt like a good move.
It was worth it because it's an experience. But like you got to deal with the ramifications. You know. And like I didn't have those ramifications back then, dude. Other than getting fat, But like now, like bro, I'm gonna feel like ass, bro. Like the indigestion and like can't and and I'm a hypochondriac, so like I get that hardcore indigestion, and I'm immediately gonna start thinking like,
oh shit, I'm dying.
Fuck, I'm dying of cancer right now, And it's like, no, there's no reason for me to be eating a healthy man. I'm trying to change that, Yeah, dude.
And it sucks that I feel like a lot of people just realize that way too late in life.
I know.
I mean, it's better now than never, but like it's also like I said, it's just food is just such an it's not talked about enough. Like even in health class, it's not really talked about enough.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that it's that way.
Well, not to mention, I mean, like if you look at what they teach you in school, like they teach you like the food pyramid and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a whole other thing.
Dude, we'll be here. Well, there's going to be a 5-parter. Yeah. I'm just me ranting about, like, capitalism. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, so enough said, Like, so we get, like, indoctrinated in a way to think that this is the standard, And that's, and, like, it's easy to just go to get fast food because everybody's all on the fucking go all the time. Because it's either do something and make money or like not survive, So like they make it easy with all this shit in front of your face and being it the most affordable, Like
it's cheap to eat unhealthy and it's quick.
I know.
And yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's like, it sucks because it is expensive.
Even me, dude, like as healthy as I try to eat, sometimes like I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Del Taco, grab some fries and a burrito. Like it just sounds good, and I don't feel like cooking.
Those fries be hitting sometimes.
They do, man.
Del Taco fries.
They do. Just so the homie told me he recently purchased like a big ass bag of Del Scorcho, and he said that shit came in.
Yeah.
And they hooked him with like all these badass like Del Taco stickers and shit. It's like, damn, I want some Del Taco stickers. Yeah, dude.
I just recently found out you could buy Del Scorcho.
Same.
From their website.
Same. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Fuck them too.
I'm gonna write this down. Another thing that you touched on was that feeling of being tired all the time, dude. In elementary, I wasn't allowed to do PE because my anxiety was so bad. My heart would be pumping, and they thought it was like too much of a strain to be feeling like that, and be running the mile or whatever. So when it came time for PE, I would have to fucking go to the nurse's class or nurse's office and sit there and have this old ass lady just talk to me and try to like relate to like a little kid, which is like, it was the funniest thing. But it would suck because I want to go play soccer, but they're not letting me because I have a high blood pressure, And in hindsight, I feel like it almost did kind of like a reverse, like what they were trying to do. Like, I think it made it worse because since I wasn't allowed to do physical activity, I think they like scared my mom to thinking like he can't do any physical activity. So like a lot of the times, like she would just want me to just be at home like playing video games and like stuff like that. So I gained a lot of weight in elementary. And I was like the chunky kid. And it wasn't until like middle school when I lost it all again, because that's when I got like skateboarding, BMX bikes, and like running amok with my friends. So, but I thought that was interesting because, dude, I would go home from school just exhausted, knock out.
Yeah.
I would get up, do my homework, watch some TV, and then just knock out again. And I never knew why I felt so tired, and it was because of all that anxiety, dude.
Yeah,
and
I feel that.
And I almost felt like I was a cat. Like the reason cats are so lazy is because their hearts are just like they're like hummingbirds. So that's why they sleep for like 20 hours a day.
That's what's up.
I know the life. But yeah, dude, like it takes its toll on you where you're just so exhausted and you almost feel like, damn, I'm a lazy piece of shit because like, why am I tired?
Yeah.
Like I didn't do anything like crazy. Like I shouldn't be. And like there was times where even in high school, like I was going through a lot of shit in my head that I would just go home and knock out. So like I remember like Brandon and stuff like trying to like go to my house and mom's like, oh, he's knocked out. Like, and like Brandon told me like, say like, why are you always sleeping? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just tired all the time. And at the time I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, you couldn't like put your finger on it at the time.
Yeah, like, I'm dude, am I just a sleepy dude?
Yeah. No,
But,
I feel that because I mean, like I blame a lot of like my feeling burnt out like on just like my brain travels at 1,000 miles an hour, dude.
Yeah.
Like my brain is constantly on, so and it travels quickly. So and with that, like when you don't have that time to really kind of like process something, or to let it kind of like sink in and like kind of just process through like even just a day, right? Like I do a lot of ruminating, like a lot, like people don't understand, like if you are not certain like about what rumination is, like that shit is exhausting, because I just like I'll chew on it, like day after day, like hours after and like that mentally exhausts you, like you may physically feel like capable of doing something, but like just being like, man, I just don't have it in me to just do the thing, because I just feel so depleted, Yeah, dude, like I feel that.
There's a Connor Oberst album called Rumination, and the whole album is just him. It's just kind of like, it's an acoustic album, so it's just him on a piano or on a guitar, and he touches a lot on that. It's a great album, dude. If you're ever going through it, dude, it's a good album to listen to.
I fuck with that.
It's really good, but yeah. So like, but yeah, it was just weird, like not knowing like what like why the fuck am I so tired? Why am I so like mentally exhausted? Like even in class, like I would have like just trouble focusing. Like I would pay attention, but it just wouldn't click in my head.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't like. I'm like, dude, I'm trying so hard to get this, but I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it sucks. So like, in hindsight, like, cause like I don't know, like now when I look at like high schoolers, like they look so little to me. Like I'm like, dude, they're like kids.
Yeah.
Like at the time, like I thought I was like an adult, you know, like in high school. So like yeah, looking at it now, like it sucks that there's like kids going through that
Mm-hmm.
and like not knowing what it is yet, or like having like I said, like you know, school doesn't touch on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I didn't know what it was.
What made you want to start? Like you say, you were seeing a therapist in high school. What started that?
Well, in high school, you didn't really have the agency to decide that for yourself.
My mom
Yeah,
did.
that was that.
Yeah.
Your parents should have had to have signed off on that.
My mom, she was super concerned about me, and she noticed that I was like sleeping a lot. I just wasn't hanging out with my friends, because like it wasn't until like my junior and senior year that I started like kind of getting better, like mentally. But before that, like it was bad. Like I was just like I think
Like-
she was just concerned.
Would you say like it was depression?
Definitely. But I
Yeah.
didn't know at the time what it
Right.
was.
Because I mean, because if you're constantly like feeling like anxiety, like on a regular, constant basis, like
Yeah.
it like you will become depressed.
Yeah, it consumed me. And what I think at the time, I didn't know what depression was. I would get depression and grief mixed up. So in my head, I'm like, I'm not sad because I have no reason to be sad.
Right. And even then, like depression doesn't necessarily mean sadness. Like
Yeah.
so, like the fact that depression in general is stigmatized in that way. Like the narrative around depression equating to sadness. It can.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely a factor of that. I definitely believe that. But there's definitely more
Yeah,
to it.
no,
than that.
yeah, and like when I would describe like depression to people, like yeah, there's like sadness in it,
Mhm.
but it's just like the only way I can describe it is just like hopelessness,
Mhm.
and like there's no like real word to describe what that feels like. It's just it's the weirdest thing, dude.
It feels like you're the prisoner and the warden.
Yeah, and like I think the thing that pissed me off all the time was like once again like it kind of goes between like I would see people that are sad, but I'm like, okay, you know, somebody just died, or you know, or they lost someone, or they grew up like abused or something, and I didn't have any of that.
Right.
So like,
Like
that's what
I don't
pissed me
like
off.
I don't even qualify
Yeah,
to be
so-
someone who's
so-
considered depressed.
So because of that, I never told anyone.
Right.
I didn't tell anyone like, oh, I'm feeling this type of way because I had no reason. I'm like, why, you know, my feelings aren't validated because I shouldn't feel like this because I
Yeah.
have no reason.
Yeah. You're not even validating yourself.
Yeah. So
That's what I'm
was-
saying. Like that's kind of like you're the prisoner and the warden. Like,
Yeah.
bro, like you're gaslighting yourself in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, how healthy do you expect that to be?
Dude, it was the worst. Like, so like later on, obviously, like you know, you start, you know, doing your research and you realize what it is and everything. And all right, I wasn't gonna share this story, but I'm gonna just trigger warning. No pun intended.
Damn. Pun intended?
All right, so this was around 2019. It was a little after we started the podcast, and I don't remember if you remember that I left for a while.
Yeah.
For a couple months, I stopped doing it. Yeah, I was just going through a lot of shit mentally, and I didn't know like how to deal with it. Now I just became like super like kind of like numb, and I tried everything. I tried the pills, you know, and it just wasn't doing it for me. And that's when I had talked to Fidel. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm kind of like going through some stuff. Like, I'm gonna take a break from the podcast just because I felt like I wasn't gonna be committed. And I think at the time I did cancel like a few prior to that, and I just felt like that was around the time where you were doing it at my place.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, I don't want to be that guy that keeps like,
Holding it back.
yeah. So I was like, you know, you and Birdie do it for a little bit, and if I'm ready, like I'll hit you up and then you can get back into it with me. So I stopped, and I stopped hanging out with a lot, like all my friends. I just kind of became secluded. This was when I lived on Gold Street. I had my own little back house,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was just going through a lot mentally. I was like, I don't know how to describe it. Like it's kind of like how you mentioned it, where I just felt like I couldn't tell anyone because my head, I'm like, they're gonna ask me why I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, and that was the shitty part about it. So I kind of secluded myself. Like I was going to work, but you know, like it almost felt like I was a ghost. I was just kind of just going through life, like feeling like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had at this time I had stopped hanging out with a lot of friends, and I became the most isolated I've ever been, like completely isolated. Where I would go weeks without even talking to my mom. And there was a few times that they showed up and they're just like, hey, I brought you food or whatever, just checking up. And I would just lie and be like, oh, I'm just hanging out with friends. I'm busy all the time. Like I'll stop by or whatever next time. So, but I wasn't like I was just going home, and I remember at this time I was just watching like a ton of movies. I was just trying to to find some way to get through the days, and I couldn't so I remember it got so bad in my head that I remember like I started planning my demise, my own. And I remember going to Lowe's and getting rope. And I was like, I was ready, dude. Um, I did like all my research. I like figured out like I got to figure out the right type of rope because in my head I'm kind of like you where it's like I had to like everything has to be planned. Like even with like Ellie, like when we go on trips, I'm like, okay, we got to leave at this time to make it to this place because we got to be there at a certain time, and you know we can eat and go here, and this is only 10 minutes away. Like I'm super detailed when it comes to stuff like that, and I was like that with this. So I did all my research. I I made a giant noose, and I still have pictures from that apartment. I hung the noose up on my wall, so when like I'm ready, I can just grab it. And it was on there for maybe a month or so. And like I remember, like it was just I did that on purpose, almost like I don't know, like just a reminder, like almost like symbolic. Like every time I walk by or like go come in here, like I'm gonna see it on the wall, and it's just gonna remind me, like this isn't leaving you.
Yeah, this is an option.
Yeah. So, like I went throughout the days and like it just like I said, it started getting darker in my head. Like I became just so apathetic to everything. Like I just did not care. And it wasn't like a sadness thing. Like I feel like people that like assume people that commit suicide are just sad. And it's like it's not the case. Like it could be, but to me it was just like I didn't care.
Yeah,
Like
because there's no way out. Is
yeah,
what you
like
feel like.
yeah, it was just hopelessness. And I remember like I just felt it like the time's coming near. So I remember like I started fasting because I'm like, okay, when you die, you're gonna shit yourself. Like it's just it happens. So I'm like, if I fast, I won't like fucking shit myself. So I remember I lost a ton of weight because I fasted for like 4 days. Like I was still drinking water, but I was eating very little. And like the last 2 days, I didn't eat anything. I was just water. And I remember like I started cleaning my room out, dusting, wiping everything down, sanitizing everything. And I remember my cats, dude, my cats are spoiled. I had bought them all these toys and they never played with them. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to toss these out. Like, I want to clean this place up. So I had taken all this stuff out, like cleaning just all the stuff that I never used. And I remember looking at the cat toys, like it was like a cat tree scratcher, like had like those balls tied to like the little yarn and stuff. And I threw it outside. And I mean, like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna leave this out for the cats because I had a bunch of stray cats. I had like a cat gang. I don't remember like my
Yeah.
posts. I would always post them. There was like 13, 14 cats, all different cats, different kittens, adults. So I just left it out there, and I just I went back inside, and I remember I started writing my notes. So my family isn't too big, so I remember like instead of doing like one goodbye note, I did one for everyone. And I was gonna put them in an envelope with everyone's names on it, and I did one for my mom, my dad, my brother, my nieces, my nephew, and it was just kind of a goodbye. And I kind of assigned little things that I owned to everyone, and I actually did one for Fidel too, and it was like my movies. I was like gonna leave my movies to Fidel, and I remember the day after I wrote those notes, like I was like, okay, today's the day. I got the noose down. I hung it up on the ceiling. I was like putting my weight on it to just make sure it supports me. I had gotten a little stool. I was ready to go. And I had sat down there and I was just like I felt the most numb I've ever felt in my life. Like I wasn't even crying. I wasn't even sad. I was just like, okay, it's my time. This is it. And while I was just there, I heard like the cats from the outside, like going crazy, which was like unusual because like they don't usually do that till like later on in the evening because I would feed them and they would know like what their feeding time is. So I'm like in my head, I'm like, I don't want to fucking be out here like fucking suffocating on this rope while these cats are like crying outside. So um, I'm like, all right, let me go feed these cats and I'm gonna come back and do this like one last time. And it's funny because I even left like specific notes to my niece, like, hey, you know, like if, well, you know, when this happens, like come feed the cats. Like I put like money in the envelope, like so she has enough money to for like a year to buy them food. And I went out there, I fed them, and I noticed that all the toys that I had taken out from my cats, they were out there playing with them. And I remember I posted a video on Instagram, and I was like, man, these cats have never had anyone be warm to them like I was, and they have never played with a toy. And there was like some old cats that were like messing with it, like they were just having fun with these toys that my cats were so spoiled they just never used. And that, for whatever reason, out of all things, my parents telling me they love me, my friends being there for me, it took that to kind of like snap me into like a reality, I guess. Like, holy shit! Like, do I really want to do this? And I guess the point of what this whole thing is like the one thing I can tell people like that I guess my one advice would be to just wait a little longer. Whether it's a day, a month, a year, just wait. Because I never thought that it would be a fucking cats, stray cats that would save my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was. And
Yeah.
it sucks that that's like, never in a million years, like what I thought, like, oh, this is what's going to keep me from fucking killing myself. These cats. But that's what it was to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and it could be anything to anyone. It could be a stranger, you know, like saying hi to you and stopping you. There's you know, tons of stories of that happening, you know, where someone's kind of going through it and, you know, someone just stops to say hi, you know, how's your day? But it doesn't even have to be anything like, it could be like like a object. It could be
Yeah.
something, you know. But to me, it was seeing those cats play with those toys that just like completely, like I broke down and cried after that.
Mm.
And that was the first time I cried like in years. And I'm not really a crier, like, so for me to just like break down and cry, like I was like, fuck, okay, like I feel something for once.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that day I walked to what was it, the Village Liquor right there.
Yeah.
I got myself a Perrier, and like I sat down outside with the cats, and I just like spent like hours out there. I think I played like an Against Me record or something. And I just sat out there just by myself drinking Perrier, hanging out with these fucking cats, watching them play. And the next day, that's when I got rid of the noose. For whatever reason, dude, whatever happened that day with those cats, dude, just changed my life forever.
Yeah.
And it just, I never had that. I guess that's when that day, like, the dark cloud just kind of went away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it took me hitting rock bottom to kind of like this is as low as I can get. Like I literally had the fucking noose around my neck. Like I can't get lower than that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's only uphill from there, you know? And not to say that's only going to be uphill, but I just felt like I needed to hit rock bottom to kind of go from there.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of made me see things so differently in life where after those years, like since that day, like I feel so much happier and like legitimately happiness, you know? Like it's not like, oh, I'm content. It's like I legit, like I think with age, the older I get, the happier I am.
Yeah.
And I think it was a mixture of the isolation, the hitting rock bottom, that kind of made me realize like, oh, okay, like I got this, and those negative thoughts aren't there anymore, and I think that made me more like, I don't know, I guess a caring person, because like I think that's kind of like what triggers like I said, like me and Fidel to be like, I only want to make people feel good and laugh.
Mhm.
Like that's why we're always fucking joking around. That's why we're
Yeah.
always like, when someone's having a bad day, dude, all I want to do is like make them laugh. Dude.
Yeah.
And that's why like I hate being serious, because like I've been like in that moment like where everything's just so fucking serious, and like I hate it, dude. Like I know there's a time and place for it, but
Right.
like just knowing that someone out there feels the way I felt that day is heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah.
Because it's like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, dude. And like it kind of, I don't know, like I said, like now that coming from that, like I feel like I like survived that, and like I could kind of like beat anything after that.
Yeah.
It did make me a stronger person, emotionally, but also physically, because I was able to kind of bounce back from that to kind of, you know, like go outside more, get more sunlight, do things that I never thought would make me happy. Like after that, that's when I really started getting into nature and going on walks and things like that. Even now, like me and Ellie go on our like evening walks almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the a cool thing that Trevor had mentioned on his episode, where he's like, I just always tell people to go outside. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like I think after that, like, especially the past year or so, like I feel like mentally I am in the best possible place I've ever been. And I think it's thanks to the people I surround myself with, my diet, my job, being committed as a chef, like, so, and just doing things I love, and just like I guess like not, I don't know, like I guess just understanding what I went through was important too. Like kind of not seeing it as a bad thing, and kind of just, as shitty as it sounds, like I feel like it kind of, I like I said, I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to go through that, and because of that, this is gonna kind of segue into something else. I felt like, okay, I'm ready to see, what the next challenge is, and like, I'm happy with my job, I'm happy with my friends. I'm in the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And because of that, me and Ellie did a lot of talking, and we were talking about the future and like what's next and stuff. And something I talked to Fidel about a month or so ago.
Yeah.
I didn't mention to Jose was that we're expecting.
Oh shit, dude!
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. That's the reaction I thought.
Epic fucking comeback, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dude. Thanks. Dude, congrats. Oh, that's so awesome. Damn.
Yeah, I couldn't end it on a Debbie Downer. But yeah, dude, we planned it. We talked about it. We went through like the pros and cons, and like we're like, let's do it. Or like I'm ready for it. I'm ready for being a dad.
Dude.
So,
Damn.
Dude, I felt it, like I felt it coming, so I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit. So I kept my eye on Jose.
Bro. Man. You took me on quite a roller coaster.
yeah, dude. I know.
Yeah.
That was a lot. This is the most open I've been, and the only other person that knows about this story is Ellie. She's the only one I've ever told.
I didn't even know about.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's something, like I said, it's something that I kept to myself, and I don't talk about it because like I feel like maybe it is important to talk about it and let people know, like from my experience, but it's, I don't know, like I almost feel like like it kind of falls into that social thing where I don't like bringing it up, 'cause, like especially like out of nowhere, you know, because it is a heavy story. But I mean, hopefully, like, you know, someone listening to it is going through something similar. You know, just wait a little bit, man. And like I said, like to me, fucking cats playing on a scratcher is what saved my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how unepic is that? You
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
something so trivial.
yeah,
You know?
and like I said, it could be anything. It could be like an object.
Well, I
it
mean,
could
like,
be
what a cool
anything.
way for it to kind of give you like the parameters of like what where to start with gratitude. You know what I mean? Like finding purpose in like what you provide to those strays. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like is what gave you a little bit of purpose, you know? And maybe that's what you needed.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I would go as far as to say is like not even wait a little longer, man. Just like there's other options, you
Yeah.
know? Like it would be super cool to put like a hotline number like in the show notes of this.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
I am.
Because like if there's nobody else, you know, just do that, you know. I appreciate you sharing that, Vero. Like that's
Yeah,
like
dude.
that's really fucked up, you know. And I just want you to know, man, like never underestimate the impact you have, you know. And I'm super stoked to see you like develop into like a father, dude, you know. And you know, I love you so much, dude. Like I wish you would have reached out to me. I would have never let you got that far, dude.
Yeah.
I would have done I would have done anything in my power to bring you, bro. I would have, dude. I'm ride or die like that, homie. Like I would have jumped in the fucking fire.
Yeah, it's weird just because like you know in this situation when you're in that mindset, like you're not even thinking like that of
Right.
yourself. You know, you're not thinking, oh, I need someone to help me or save my life because you just don't care.
Yeah, I
So
feel
it's
that.
just like a weird thing, you know. Like obviously, like if someone like now, like if someone was in that situation, like anyone, like I would hope they would reach out. You know, but it's hard when you're in that mindset. Though.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's crazy, dude. Because like looking back at it, like my mind is so on the polar opposite of that now, and I'm just like, damn, dude,
I feel that. I
it's
feel that.
crazy.
I mean, I've been in some similar lows, you know, like not necessarily anything relatable, you know, but like I've had thoughts before that have just really kind of shaken like what I think about everything, you know. Yeah, like I mean during quarantine that was a very difficult time as it was for like a lot of people, dude, like pretty much everybody. But like for me, you know, like that was a period of time when I was really, I mean, going to a therapist or anything like that, seeking like any type of growth mentally, psychologically wasn't something that was necessarily on my radar like that until like my experiences through that time, you know. And no, man, like that hopelessness, like I feel that, dude, you know. like I remember feeling so physically ill, like like numb in my fingers, you know, like everything I knew was upside down, you know. And I had to like be I had to learn how to be like, I was furloughed, you know, so I wasn't making any money, you know. My daughter, who was not that recently at that time diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which was a mission in itself to get to that point. And then she had to abruptly stop doing her normal school routine, start kindergarten during that time and do it virtually, you know. And I was there to do it, you know. And like, bro, I was not prepared for that at all. And like I lost my insurance through the furlough, so then like I wasn't able to provide for the services that she needed, you know. And at that time, Alexis and I, you know, we were withholding our paychecks, you know, so that we can pay other people, you know, and because it just felt like that was the right thing to do. So, you know, we were really spreading ourselves out pretty thin at that time for that, you know. And like, bro, that felt so crushing, so defeating, you know. Everything I thought I knew was like, and then not to mention, bro, it triggered like old obsessions of mine, you know, of like getting sick off of like just in proximity of things, you know. Like there was a point in time where I had like struggled with touching a gas handle, like many years prior, like dude, in like high school or like right after, you know, like touching a gas handle and things like that, you know, because of the things that would run through my head about it, right? And it took me some time to get over that, and I'm on my own, you know. So then like come to that, all those things considered, compounding with like the fact that, you know, if I talk to fucking anyone or leave my fucking house, I might die, you know, like, you know, that's definitely a trigger for me, you know. So like I definitely found myself in a place where I was just so like just stuck and just trapped, and I was just so hard on myself about it, you know. I like as a father, you know, like the failure that I felt like I was being, you know, like you know. And that's when I started really like writing a lot of those things for Hit 'Em Where It Hurts, you know.
Yeah.
And it like even to this day, like it's basically a project from my brother and I mainly, and now that Omar's in the mix, the conversations I've had with him, he's on board. Like it's a project for us to express ourselves about these things, you know, like the song Mortal Wounds, like that's about, you know, mental health, you know. It's about suffering from addiction, suffering from depression, rumination, obsessions. Like people don't understand, you know. It's easy to say like, oh, I'm so OCD about something, right? They don't know. Like when you say that, like you don't really know what it is to have obsessions like that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I still struggle with, and that's something I go over with my therapist, you know. And that's primarily the reason why I was taking Zoloft. You know, it was to help me with that, you know, because, dude, the obsessions will cause you to do some really strange things, dude, you know, and as a reaction to like that level of fear and anxiety that those fears and those thoughts give you, you know. Like, so for me, it was getting ill and having like a terminal illness, you know, which is still like a common theme for me, you know. And also like I have, like any parent's gonna have those fears about something happening to their kids, but like I have these constant, like, just, and they're utterly gruesome, like visual, intrusive thoughts, and they haunt me, you know. So like I'll do some pretty strange things. Rumination is probably like my go-to compulsion, you know. But like, you know, it's not hard to catch me. Like, I don't fuck with stepping on cracks. As silly as that sounds, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
like,
split the pole.
yeah, dude. Like, it sounds like it's a superstition thing, but you don't understand. Like, it can get to a point where, you know, it's hard to kind of not, like, the thought of not being able to do it as a means to put some sense of control of the situation, because like the thoughts are so real. So like not long ago, because like I've had trouble sleeping lately, and because I just keep having these dreams of like shit happening to my kids, and like not long ago I was doing yard work in the backyard, and I was having Joseph help me. So we're out there doing our thing, and Naraya was out there for a little bit, and she went back inside, and so we were kind of doing our thing or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go check on her because it's been a little while. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna get some water, you know, blah blah blah. So I go inside, get the water, and I'm looking around. I'm calling out for Naraya. I don't know where she's at. I'm looking everywhere, dude. Like the door's closed, like literally. Like she could have gotten raptured, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh fuck, right? So then I go outside in the front, and Joseph's following me, and then I'm looking down both sides of the street, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, you know? And like, mind you, dude, like she's not hurt, like she's not nonverbal, you know, but like, you know, she still struggles with her expressive language, right? And you know, she's autistic, bro. Like, you know, so she needs a lot of assistance right now, at least. So I see these neighbors across the street that work on the car and talk to them. I'm like, bro, do you see a little girl walking around here, dude? Because, like, this is a problem, you know? And he's like, oh, man, like, we've been out here for hours, like, we're in the car. He's like, I hadn't seen anybody, but to be honest, we were just, like, heads in the car, right? So I'm like, oh, my God, right? I call Alexis, whatever. And then, like, I see this cop kind of, like, he was moving, you know? So I flagged him down. And I was like, yo, I don't know what you got going on, man, but I hope you're not too busy for, I'm looking for a kid. You know, my daughter, my kid is, I can't find her. So he could describe. So I described what she was wearing. He's like, oh, boy or girl? And I was like, oh, little girl. And he said, like, oh, she's up at the corner. And then so he starts driving. And so I'm like, okay, cool, right? So me and Joseph were going up there. And then and like I get super close to where the next street is. And like that street, people, they move on it, bro. And I just see an ambulance and a fire truck. Like,
Oh shit.
lights and sirens, bro.
That's the worst feeling,
Bro,
dude.
you have no idea. No idea, you know? Like, everything. You know, like, my worst fear. And, like, I have Joseph right there, you know? So I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, how can I let this happen, you know? Like, I was just trying to cut the grass, dude, you know? Like, I how could I let this happen? You know? And dude, like the worst feeling, you know? And then I get to the corner, like literally the corner house, and then she's just there chilling. Like she's perfectly fine. But, you know, she has no shoes on, you know, because she was chilling at the house. And I'm like, dude, like 10 minutes, bro. And it felt like it just took forever, like this whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, the cop was asking me questions. And like, oh, can I get your name or whatever? And as a knee-jerk reaction, I was like, why am I under investigation? Because I was already, one, you guys know how I feel about cops.
Yeah.
Two, like, I'm already thinking like I think I'm being hard on myself right now, you know?
You're going through
So like, I was kind of like offended in a way, you know? And he was like, no, like, in case this ever happens again, you know, we want to know how to respond to a situation, like, and so we know who to reach out to.
Yeah.
You know, like now that we know that she's autistic and this is, you know, like we're here to help, you know. And I was like, okay, cool, I appreciate that, you know, and everything was fine, you know, but like the worst feeling ever, you know, and then it's kind of like, dude, like now I just can't stop thinking of these things, you know. Like they just don't leave my mind, you know, and you could, it's easier for someone to say, well, just don't think about it, you know, or think about something else, do something else, whatever, you know. But it's like, I can be doing anything, bro. Like I can be making beats and there it is.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, and then I start trying to rationalize it, you know, and then the next thing I know, I'll have something in front of me and like an hour or two has passed by and I've completely just like shut off because I'm stuck in like, just going deeper and deeper and deeper into these spirals, you know? And like, like, I'll be pacing, like, you know, like, and, you know, it's like, that becomes like a trigger, you know? But yeah, dude, like, I mean, that shit was
scary, dude.
that shit was mad scary, bro. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to like, you know, wrap my head around. Like that was like the worst feeling I've ever had. I mean, that's my Princess Peach, dude. You know, and I'm supposed to be her Mario, and I fucked up, you know. But I didn't. Like, I know, like, I know that I have to give myself more grace, right? Like, it just happened, you know. So, like, but just you can't help but just shake that feeling. Like, man, like, I thought it was worst case scenario, and like, I can't help but to feel like, oh, I was being neglectful, you know, but it's like, it wasn't the case, you know, like, so like now I just like, even the thought of doing yard work, dude, like it's hard for me to do it, you know? So like I won't do it if there's not somebody else there. You know what I'm saying? Like I just won't do it. It freaks me out. Like I treat that like everything. Like I'm trying not to be like a drone footy parent right now, you know? But it's like it's hard not to feel like I have to, you know? And it's a little bit of a compulsive thing for me, you know? But I don't know, man. You know, that was a pretty wild experience, you know? But I'm just glad that she was okay. And yeah, people stigmatize OCD pretty bad, dude. You know?
Dude. I just, yeah. But I mean, growing up, I just thought it was a typical, like, oh, you have like your little tics and that's it. Like I thought that's what it was.
Well, I mean, it can be that,
yeah,
you know, but I mean,
but
like it exists on a spectrum in itself, you know, like really, like just like one person's OCD is not like another, you know. It can show in a form of like hypervigilance with organization, you know. It can show up like it can be like really clean and neat and a germaphobe. It can be like germophobia, right? It can be like that, but not necessarily for everybody, you know.
Be ritualistic too.
It's just very like it can be very religious. It can be to a point like compulsions aren't necessarily physical. You can't even sometimes you don't even see them. Like I said, like so for instance, there was a point in time where I would always be like checking my temperature, like, you know, like to this day I'll be just to kind of like do a check on my lungs, and then I would ask Alexis, and I would say, hey, does my foot look swollen to you? And she would be like, bro,
damn, dude, you are hypochondriac.
Yeah, no, dude, like, because I would get these thoughts of like, dude, like, man, like, what if I have diabetes, you know, like, and I know that, you know, that it does, you know, can go to your, you know, I was like, man, like, I don't know, I can feel like a tingle in my foot, like, you know, so then I would do that, and I would take my shoe off all the time, and I would look, and I'd compare my feet, and I would look at it all the time, and I would look things up, you know, and like, it would drive me fucking insane, dude, insane. I would spend so much time on these things. Like, seriously, way too much time on a lot of these things. And it would beat me down, like, so down to, like, where I had nothing left in me to just, like, function, you know? And, like, meanwhile, like, the world has shut the fuck down. And, you know, there's, like, this illness that no one knows about that's killing people, you know, and then at the same time, the chaos that people are dividing themselves over about that issue in general, like, I felt like it was just, everything was out of control, you know, and I had zero, you know, and my thoughts got so out of control. And I remember one time there was like a knife on the counter, and I don't know why this popped into my head. But then it's just like, man, like, what's like, I had that. There's a thought, like, image, and I like grabbed it, did like, you know, to harm myself. And I don't know. I just had like this feeling, like, man, like it felt like that could be on autopilot, and I would not be able to stop myself. You know what I mean? And it was just like a really strange feeling, and it gave me like that sense of dread. Like that sinking feeling, and it freaked me the fuck out, dude. And I remember just calling my mom, and I just broke down, dude. Like, I broke down, and I was like, I'm so lonely. I don't know what to do. Like, I you know, and she was like, I'm coming over right now, you know. And I told her not to eventually, but like just hearing her say that, you know, like that meant a lot to me, you know. And she and I talked for a long time, and then Alexis came home, and she and I talked, and, you know, I was telling her, like, and I broke down to her, and I was like, I'm losing my mind. Like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Like, I can't distinguish what's real and what's not right now, you know? and and I don't know what to do. And that's when we're like, she's like, dude, we gotta like, gotta seek some help, And that's when I kind of just jumped into all that, and it was a good decision because, I've come a long way from then, obviously I can fucking function now, and I've been able to for since then. But like, I had the reason why I brought my iPad is because like I have like notes from when I was doing group at one point, and that was really cool because it had like a really cool process to it, where we took notes and we started with gratitude. We would do these gratitude journals in every session, and then we would break down like what grief is and stuff, and like how grief isn't necessarily something that has to do with like the loss of a person. You can grieve the life that you had before, that you experienced like addiction or a mental illness or something like that. So it really kind of in that scenario, it kind of gives you community too. And when I had like graduated out of that, like starting to do more one-on-one stuff, and then kind of going through different people just because, you got to, sometimes you're just like, dude, I feel like you're making me your therapist, You're like, that's weird. But you find one that you and then I would take breaks, So like kind of how you said, like I have a sense of gratitude for my experiences during that time, because like it makes me realize like I guess how far I've come now, and I am so much more aware about these things, and like I know what it was like to grow up with a mother that was plagued with like, anxiety and depression, and I can recognize like what that does to the kids. And I don't want to have something like that have a negative impact on my children, because like I said, dude, like they mean everything to me, and being able to kind of have this experience, and this awareness of it helps me be able to be there for them in ways, so that they like are supported in that area, like I give my, like, dude, playing baseball in these baseball leagues, should you see how some of these dads, like how they roll with their kids, and like they like there's like they don't do crying at all, like they shut that shit down, right? And like for me, and I'm like, nah, man, like I will never tell my son to stop crying and to suck it up like that. Like I would never do that, and then like
that's very harmful.
It is.
It's very harmful because they could, especially at such a young age, because they could easily like internalize that shit and then have this thing growing up of like, oh, I can't cry right now, but don't know where that stems from.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I'm a hothead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like my only outlet because of that experience is like, because anger is acceptable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, do I want my son to fucking be that guy? No. Do I want him to feel like he has nobody? No. Do I want him to feel like he can't come to me? And I'm not perfect, bro. I'm a hothead. And my finger's always on the trigger, bro. Like, that's just who I am. I can't help it, And one of the things that I've come to learn and why I'm so invested in working on myself is, like I said, because my kids, it's more important. It's less important to control your kids' behavior. It's less important because it's more important to control yours. And that shows maturity as a parent and as a person, So like, I'm not interested in controlling my kids' behavior. I'm more interested in controlling mine so that I can model that for them,
That's the best thing you can do.
And I want to provide for them a safe space,
Yeah.
I welcome the emotion. Like when like my daughter like has like a meltdown, like I'm not gonna expect her to like I'm not gonna treat her like she's inconveniencing me. You know what I mean? Because growing up, that's how I felt, like especially like at school. You know, so like, bro, I hate that feeling. You know, I've always hated that feeling. You know, which is why like when it's like oh you're annoying, or like I feel like I'm being annoying. You know, like that's difficult for me to reconcile with. You know, it like I'm hard on myself about that. You know, because it's always been like I'm inconveniencing somebody.
Yeah.
You know, no one wanted to give me the time or the space. You know, so I'm gonna do that for my kids, for sure. You know, because I want them to have the best quality of life. You know, and I'm just trying to do my best with that, and that starts with me. You know, and so I have a little bit of gratitude, like about my experiences and that, like you know, but I mean, I never want to feel like that again, you know, and sometimes I feel like I do, and I'm just like, nah, you know, so I don't know. It's important to me to focus on like my diet, exercise, like across the board, you know, like even for myself, like, you know, prayer is a form of meditation, you know, it's a grounding for me, you know.
I think it's like very important too. Like, I guess this falls with, you know, like with prayer, meditation, like you said, because I haven't done this in a while, but like I would do it in the morning before work. Like first thing I would get up, I would just sit there and just focus
Yeah.
and just like let everything hit you. You know, I wouldn't get distracted. I had this rule, like don't go on the phone for like the first like 20 minutes of waking up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Little things like that are important. I feel like you gotta not distract yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that could be anything. You could just be you sitting there alone with your thoughts, or it could be like
Yeah.
you said, you praying, or as long as it's something that you're focusing on
Yeah.
by yourself, you know. Like,
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, like I mean, you can there's the only wrong way to pray is to not pray at all. In reality, you know, and you can assign that to like meditating. The only wrong way to meditate is to not do it at all. The point is like finding a way for you to gain some sort of mindfulness, to keep you present, you know, and then to practice gratitude, you know, because man, that goes a long way. I mean, I don't know if anybody's familiar with like that the book or the movie The Secret, right? About like abundance. It, in a nutshell, like it really comes down to like changing the way that you view the world based on like your commitment to gratitude, you know, and you know like I'll try and see if I'll bring up some of these notes.
It's a big ass iPad.
I know it's super sick, huh? I use it for everything, bro.
damn, dude, what size TV is that?
But yeah, you know what I mean. Like I said in my notebook, they they have like these gratitude journals, and it makes me really want to go back into that. And journaling in general, they say is like I mean, therapists will tell you, like you go anywhere, they tell you journaling is like a really good thing to do.
Even writing prompts.
That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know, and like I'm a writer, dude. You know, so like I just need to do more of that. You know,
Yeah.
this thing's not loading.
I've done a couple of those with Ellie where I think I have like 2 books, but like I'll ask her questions and we'll both answer it and just like compare our answers just to see, like just
Yeah.
for shits and giggles. But it like a lot of that stuff will like it'll be thought provoking. It's just stuff that you don't think about, or like stuff that you would have never thought about, like, or you know, some of them are more obvious than others, but it'll get your like your brain flowing, you know.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I mean, it just helps kind of get your thoughts out. You know, I express myself better in words, anyways. You know, like when I discovered poetry, like when I was 12. You know, in one of those chicken noodle books or whatever, I found there was a poem in one of them, and it blew my mind. I don't remember what it was, but like it blew my mind, and I was so into it. Like I bought rhyming dictionaries. I was even like reading a dictionary because I really wanted to just be. I loved the way that the way that it like conveyed what it was telling me, just really like, I don't know, it resonated with me in a way. So ever since then, like, I mean, like in high school, dude, I have notebooks and it was always either me doodling or it was just like poetry, like, and just kind of working out. And like to this day, like I still do it. I mean, Hidden Where It Hurts is basically poetry.
Yeah.
It's basically my poetry. Just has a back, like has a soundtrack to it, you know? And I find it easy to express myself in that way. And you know what? I know that there's a quote out there. I can't remember who says it. If somebody knows, they can probably like comment on it. But it was like being an artist means like that you're like committed to healing, but by also endlessly exposing your wounds.
Yeah.
You know, I probably butchered how that quote is supposed to be said, but that's basically what it is. And man, like I think that's so true, you know, and that's why I have to express myself, you know, in artistic ways, in creative ways, because it helps, you know. It's like, I mean, poetry in general has been there for me, you know, and it's like, and it's also what made me appreciate hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the same thing. Like it's poetry with like backing tracks, you know, and that's why it connected with me at that young age too. Because I found like poetry like around the same time as like the hip hop at the time, you know, so 12, 13. So I mean, I definitely think like journaling. I'm a subscriber to that school of thought. And again, like I remember when I first got turned on to that, I would think like, man, where do I start? You know, like what do I, you know, putting way too much pressure on myself and overthinking it like usual. But in reality, like everything else, like the only wrong way to do it is to not do it at all. Yeah. You know, so it's just.
And that kind of falls into like the whole, like, you got to put effort into it too.
Yeah, dude.
Like you said, you know, you have like the eating part, the physical part, which is like eating healthy and exercising, but you need that like emotional, mental thing too, where it's just like, you know, your brain is a muscle, you gotta exercise it
100%. And then it requires a diet too. So I mean, like the content you consume, like the things that you're like, I mean, we have these phones in front of our face, you know, and we have like bombs being dropped on children, you know, and you see this chaos like floating up on your feet. I mean, like that's negative, fucked up shit, you know, and like, you know, that's gonna have an effect on you, like the more you look at it, you know. So like having a healthy diet in that sense too, mentally, matters, you know. So like I said, like diet and exercise, mind, soul, body, like for sure, dude. Like I'm big on that.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like too, like mental health is also like a lot of people are just desensitized to it because of, like you said, like because we're just so used to seeing negative shit. We're so used to hearing people complain about their problems that it's just like, oh, you know, this again, or so that's like another shitty thing where it's like, you know, if you know someone that's going through it, just take it serious.
Yeah.
Don't just brush it off as them just being sad for a day or two.
Yeah.
And that,
especially if you know if you see it coming from somebody that is like a consistent thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you see them constantly talking like all this negative shit or just complaining about things all the time, and then maybe they come up to you one time and like, hey, try to talk to you about something, but like just take them serious.
Well, think about it like this, like, so from the perspective, like I work in the occupational health and safety field, right? If you see a safety hazard at work, right? If you see something, say something, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens if you don't?
It's gonna hurt the next person.
Somebody's gonna get hurt, right? You want to stop an accident before it stops somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the same principle should be applied to that, you know? Like, so if you see something in somebody, you should say something.
Yeah.
You know, ask questions, you know? Like, I mean, that's what I do. Like, if I see someone like, you know, got some pain behind those eyes, you know? And, you know, hey, like, if you don't want to talk about it, it's cool. But, like, just know that if you need to cry, if you like, do you want a hug? Like, if you need anything, bro, like, you can trust me with whatever you got, you know? And I think it's important that when you do recognize that there might be a need for that, to do that, you know? And I believe that just like as a fundamental human thing, you know?
Yeah, like you don't have to. I don't know. I guess necessarily wait for someone to be feeling down to ask them how they're doing.
Word.
You know. So that's another thing that's important. Just like normalize asking your homies
Yeah.
how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, how you been, dude?
Are you doing all right?
Yeah.
Even if you're having a good time, they're just
Yeah.
looking at you weird, like what?
Yeah, I
ask.
mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that, dude. I mean, what kind of homie? Like, I would not want to be the homie that was like, man, I wish I could have said something. You know?
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like if somebody was to ask me, like, oh, how are you doing? Even if I'm having like a good day, like I feel like when I am having a bad day, like, that will always be in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, yeah, I could talk to this person. You
Yeah.
know? So just don't wait, I guess.
Yeah. If somebody asked me, like, hey, how's it going, man? Like,
It's going.
it's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Do I really?
Yeah, like you don't care.
Like, do you really want to know, or like, is this like one of those the small talk things?
Good morning things?
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm not a small talk guy, you know. So I don't know, because I mean, but if you're genuinely curious, and you got room for that, let's go.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know that I can. Like, I would love. I mean, don't you feel better knowing that you can like? I mean, you have Christians that fellowship with each other all the time. You know, when two nerds nerd out about like, you know, baseball or you know whatever it is. You know, you get like you feel something from it, and it makes you feel better having done it, right? So, I mean, in general,
Don't hold shit in.
yeah, don't in general. Like, I mean, that works across the board. I imagine.
It was actually my little sister that kind of instilled that in me of like not holding shit in. Because as much as like for as long as I can remember, I've always been like, yeah, you know, talk about your shit. You know, like you need somebody to talk to, like you could talk to me. I never was really open about it as a teenager, like what I was going through. It was my little sister, like in conversations with her, and she would tell me like, yeah, it's cool that you're like willing to be there for people and willing to hear like their issues. So, but what about yours? Like, what about like the stuff that you're dealing with in your head, you know? Like, you can't just keep it in there. Like, it's gonna fuck you up, basically.
Yeah.
So it was like actually my little fucking sister, dude. And that's like her job now. She works at Patton State Hospital in San
okay.
Bernardino.
That's tight.
Yeah.
So what is her particular, like specifically, what does she do?
I just know she's a therapist for them. They're like, I don't know
Really?
exactly. Yeah, I don't know exactly like what, but I just know that's what she does there.
Man, good for her, dude. Shouts out to that, you know. Doing the Lord's work as far as I'm concerned, dude. Because, I mean, like, that shit matters, dude. I mean, we've known people who have, like, not walked away from it, you know.
Yeah.
And, like, that's shitty, you know. And, you know, there's people, like, literally who are on, like, the streets, dude. You know, and people step over them or stigmatize them, you know, like, oh, a fucking tweaker or whatever. But, like, you don't know. Like, if, like, what if that was just, like, that coping mechanism that they went to because they didn't have anyone else or anywhere else to go? And, like, they've gotten so far into it, so deep, you know? And it's, like, it's easy to judge them, you know?
It's because I think a lot of people just lack that empathy. They see that, like you said, like, oh, fucking tweaker, you know, why don't you just fucking get your life together, get a job, whatever. It was like if it was that easy, I'm pretty sure they would.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just because I think they see it as like, well, I mean, it didn't happen to me, so like it must be easy for it not to happen.
Well, I mean, privilege is not acknowledging something as a problem because it's not a problem for you, you know? And like, don't you dare call yourself a Christian if that's how you think about that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're a hypocrite if you think that, you know?
Yeah.
And in general, like, if you subscribe to any, like, school of thought that, you know, what is right and what's wrong and how you're supposed to treat other people and care for other people in general, like, I mean, everybody has, like, a story, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure that there's dudes out there who are just, like, they'd rather be out there because rent's fucking expensive and having to work at a place every fucking day is a drag.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. That's their decision or whatever, you know? But, like, to stigmatize somebody out there who's addicted to something, you know, even if they're not on the streets, like, they're just, like, someone you know who has, like, a problem, you know? like a substance abuse problem, you know, like they might that might be might be a reason for that, you know, and you know, having somebody where they can talk to, being that guy, you know, is important. You know, at least I choose to be that guy. You know, I can't force anybody to think or do anything different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's important to me, and that's who I'm gonna be. You know, that's and it matters to me. You know. So that's why I think this is having a discussion like this is important. You know, and I'm glad, dude, like that you were able to open up about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's rough. I didn't know that. You know, and like, it hurts my feelings to know that you had gone through that and you felt so alone, you know? Because, I mean, you could have told me, I need this, I need that, and I would have stopped what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, just in that time, you just don't think about it.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted me to beat your ass, like, I would just come out and smack you around and get you, snap out of it.
Or my cheeks, dude.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Or,
My cheeks.
yeah. Which ones?
All of them.
Hell yeah. That's freaky.
I did make a list of like movies that deal with mental illness.
Well, before you say that, because I kind of want to say something that, like, yeah, like I don't want to sound like an asshole because you're saying like, oh, like I wish you would have told me. Like, it's easy to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say being like, you know, reach out to the homies, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to that person to let you in, you know, like, and let you know, like, oh, this is what I'm dealing with. It's up to that person to want that help, you know. So you can't really like beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
It just sucks when you know it's like a homie that
Yeah,
went through that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just love you so much, and like
Yeah.
I love everybody like that so much, and I was raised to be compassionate, you know, and to be there for people, you know. So like I can't help it. you
Yeah.
know?
No. Yeah.
So like
I mean, and we've lost friends to suicide, so it's just like
yeah,
What sucks
and
is-
addiction,
Yeah.
you know, because which if you wanted to, like, if I was a betting man, you know, there's probably a reason.
Yeah.
yeah, dude, and that's like, I mean, it's kind of mad. Like it gets me mad just because like, kind of like how you are right now. Like I wish I would have known what you were going
Yeah.
through, and you know, and it's like like. In my head, I'm like, dude, I could have maybe saved this person's life, or you know, I should have asked like if you're okay, you know, like, because I mean, I've had friends that did commit suicide that there's times where they like you would mention something small, and in my head, I'm like, why didn't I like look into that, you know,
Right.
or why didn't I talk to that person and like kind of.
It was almost kind of like they were throwing out that fishing hook, but you just didn't bite.
Yeah, or like you get like a little glimpse of what's going on in their
Yeah.
head, but you don't think it's that big of a deal at the time. It
Yeah.
just sucks, dude.
Yeah, I've actually been in a situation like that where I had asked like, hey, is like, are they all right? Like, is everything cool? You know, just kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, it's like, nah, like, yeah, you know, we just been partying a lot, this and that. And it's like, okay, well, I can feel like, you know, they burnt
Yeah.
out, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It could be just a shitty day. They're
And
having.
then come to find out at some point that person did actually, you know, commit suicide. And it's like, man, I feel like, man, I fucking knew it, you know?
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's it's so hard to kind of wrap your hand around, like, because depression looks different for different people
Yeah.
also. Yeah, and they manage it differently, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like I guess the people that are on the outside looking in, like, don't beat yourself up over it either, because
Yeah.
grief is
Yeah.
crazy. That it'll eat you alive. You know, blaming
Yeah.
yourself, like especially if it's like a really close friend, a family member, like anything like that, like a loved one, a partner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I can't imagine losing someone like that. You know,
Yeah.
like I just like it's a road that everyone's gonna cross eventually. So like, you know, just I guess just focus on, you know, celebrating their life instead of like, you know, the loss of it, you know.
Yeah.
And because I mean, like I said, everyone's parents are gonna die eventually. Like somewhere you're gonna lose someone that's close to you, and it's just like, you know, like I said, grief is just it could lead to a lot, you know, darker places,
Yeah.
and it can just
Well, I mean, grief
Consume you.
like grief is nuanced in itself. Because I mean, like someone who like is a victim of like sexual violence, let's say, right? Like that person can grieve, like they can grieve, like the life they had before that attack. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that the grief manifests in different ways for different people. You know, so like it's not just like this one size fits all like term, like to like you're mourning the death of a person or like a sentient being, but like there's other ways that grief kind of like shows itself.
It'll manifest somehow. Yeah. But the biggest advice I can give someone going through it is just don't do it.
Don't do what?
Just don't be sad.
Wow.
That's it, baby.
Yeah.
Have you tried not being sad?
Yeah. It's like, oh man, have you tried this?
Dude,
have you ever tried not being a bitch?
Like someone's like having money problems. Like, have you tried not being poor, dude?
Yeah. It's like, it's like, I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
Yeah, dude. It's like that Bo Burnham joke where it's like, laughter is like the best medicine, besides medicine. Like,
oh man. See, there you go, man, fucking it up.
laughter, dude. It could save a life.
No, I mean, honestly though, like we're not like, and like, just for responsibility reasons, like we're not professionals.
Oh
here,
no.
So the advice is just like lived experience.
Yeah.
Advice from like one homie to another who may be tuning in. Like
basically stuff that's helped us.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a lot out there to look into. There's a lot of different like Instagram profiles that are advocates. A lot of podcasts with actual licensed professionals. I mean, I'm a subscriber to a bunch of those. Like I have a lot of ADHD coaching ones that I chime into that I find being a wealth of knowledge, and they cover a lot of like mental health stuff because of the types of like mental health stuff that comes along with the neurodivergent experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they go a lot more in depth about it.
100%. Yeah, and like with actual professionals.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just speaking on our own experience.
Our own experience, just a couple of homies speaking to a bunch of other homies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the majority of people that do listen are our friends, so it's like if you're going through some shit, then like hopefully this helped you in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's to reach out to someone or even if it's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk to me about anything. Like, I am not gonna judge. Like, I'm gonna give you the space. So like, if you are my friend or even if you're not someone I know, but you want someone, you need somebody, like hit me, like I'm
because I know for some people it probably can be a lot easier just to talk, just to vent and dump out to somebody that they don't know at all. So like that's like, I'm glad you're saying like, oh, you could talk to me, you talk to the Betamax Instagram, just fucking in the DMs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm super interested in this list.
It's mostly horror movies, dude. When I was like doing research, like I'm like, damn. So, I'm telling you, horror is like where it's at, dude. Especially when it comes to like, because it's scary, dude. Mental illness is scary. Dude.
Word.
It could be.
Word. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth is kind of like, right?
Yeah.
In a way.
That's not on my list, but yeah, now that you think about it, there's so many that like I wish I would have taken more
because
time.
those were all figments of her imagination because of the nature of like that being like there. I mean, forgive me, I haven't seen it so long, but like because like there was a war going on, right?
It was like her way of dealing with it.
It was because there was a nature of like an oppressing force, and then those who are oppressed, and she
like an
was
abusive stepfather.
Exactly.
This civil war going on in the background.
Exactly. So like to dissociate herself by creating these characters in her mind, as a coping mechanism.
That's a heavy movie.
I know it is.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Word.
Yeah, dude.
I'm interested in your list, dude, because I have a few too.
The first one that automatically came to my head, dude, was Hereditary.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because it even dabbles in that, like, is this mental disorder?
Yeah.
Is it hereditary?
Yeah.
Can it pass it down?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been countless studies on it, but nobody really knows for sure. But it can be, like it. I mean, I think it's more of a like you had mentioned, like passing it down from like parents to parents,
Yeah.
just as role models. So
Yeah,
yeah.
isn't that like, was it like epigenetics or something like that?
The
Like,
what?
I mean, I could be wrong, but like, I think that might be like epigenetics, where it's like
Oh.
something could be like hereditary, but not necessarily like because like say the way that like things like anxiety, depression, stuff like that affect the nervous system could create physiological changes that can be like something that gets passed to
Mm-hmm.
your children, you know, and it become like a part of like their makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure how like
That's where the professional should
that's what I'm saying. You know? I've just dabbled in it lightly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not one of the things that I became an overnight expert about, but I just remember it was something that I remember kind of piquing my interest at one time, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a fascinating. Because
That's
for instance, like say narcissism,
mm-hmm.
right? So like it's easy for like I know that it can be common for like say a child to become a narcissist if their parent is a narcissist, you know, because it could become of like an environmental thing, you know, and I think that might be
Mm-hmm.
like what that could have something to do with what they call epigenetics. I mean, I could be wrong. Like I could be talking about something completely different, but like I do think that there is definitely some way that you can
Yeah.
like you know kind of foster unhealthy like behaviors
Yeah.
from your
So
experience.
yeah. So like I mean, yeah, that movie it that's what got my interest in that, and that's why I started like looking into it. I'm like, how come I never thought about it like that
Hmm.
way, you know? Um, but you know, like they use like demons and shit as like metaphors
It's a
for you know
metaphor, yeah.
for you know the whole grieving
Yep.
of the loss and like you know passing it down. But another one is a popular one, but I feel like I had to put it on this Donnie Darko
Oh, word.
Yeah.
because they even have when you mentioned the spectrum. When the
Yeah.
teacher was like, "Oh, you know, choose this one," and he's like, "No, it's deeper than that. Like you can't just put it on one side or another."
Yeah.
Um, but that's another movie that you know dabbles with mental illness and like this depressed emo kid that like
Yeah.
you know some of these movies I feel like kind of glorify it a little bit, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it does shed light on it, so I
Yeah.
feel like I have to put it on the list. One that popped up, I'm like, you know, this is a good movie, Signs with Mel Gibson.
Like the Shyamalan one?
Mm-hmm.
How
I
so?
don't know, I don't know if you remember, but he used to be a priest.
Yeah.
They lost the mother, so he like kind of loses his religion, and um, it dabbles with that grieving, and kind of him being kind of an asshole to his kids because of it, and like having them grow up certain ways because
Yeah.
almost like they kind of like the son and daughter, they kind of like bond, they have their own bond, and they have that disattachment from their dad because of it, because of that loss,
Mm.
where he's blaming himself for it, and
Mm.
he's kind of like distancing himself from the kids.
I
You
see
should
what you mean.
rewatch it, dude.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good movie.
It is a good movie. I remember it freaked me out the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's scary, dude. That
It
scene,
is.
dude. That
Yeah.
that famous scene.
The
Yeah.
birthday party.
Yeah, in Brazil.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Signs and explained it that way because I never caught that.
Yeah,
But it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
and I mean, there's people that break it down to where like the UFOs and the aliens are like metaphors for all this other stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
look into it, dude. It's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I definitely want to rewatch it. Another one is called Swallow. It's an underrated film, dude. But I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, damn, this movie is heavy too. It's about this girl who gets pregnant, and she starts having like this compulsive thing where she starts swallowing objects while she's pregnant, and they keep getting worse. It starts off with like a penny or something, and then it becomes like a marble, and then a thumbtack. And dude, I'm not gonna spoil anything, dude. Worth a watch, especially if you're a girl. Like I feel like you're gonna relate to it a lot more because it has a lot to do with mental illness. And it gets pretty dark at the end, but it's a smart film. And I believe the director, I don't remember her name, but I think it's her first directorial debut and knocked it out of the park, dude. Good fucking movie. And I also showed just how shitty men are. Like, it I don't know, man. It's a good movie, but I feel like that one's not talked about enough. But
Yeah, I've never even heard about it.
Yeah, I've never heard about it.
it's good. Another one I had was Midsommar, which that one, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It has to do a lot with grief, abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Her, because of her, shit that she has going on in her head, they kind of just getting taken advantage
Mhm.
of, things like that. Another one is Lake Mungo, which to me
I'm
is like
familiar with the name.
one of the saddest like ghost movies I've ever seen, but it deals with a lot with that too. And then the last one was one that we watched not too long ago, The Lodge.
Oh yeah,
And that one's fucking really heavy, dude.
that
Yeah.
one's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
but those are just a few that I had on my list. I didn't get
Nice.
to work on it too much, but
Nice.
worth checking out if you're
Yeah.
interested in that stuff.
I might have a couple that. I mean, I wish you would have told me that you made a
I didn't
list.
think about it until like maybe like an hour before I came. I'm like, let me, because I had
That would have
a few in
given me
my
enough
head.
time, dude.
I know.
How do you feel about Split?
Split was another one that I saw on the list, but I feel like I need to rewatch it. But that's another one,
Because I recently rewatched it. That's why.
Isn't
It's
that
like fresh
about
in my head.
like he has like dissociative identity or
It's
something
like
like that?
32 or 33
Yeah, he has like
identities.
32.
Yeah.
That movie's sad, dude. Like
Yeah.
it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But like
I haven't
a
seen
lot
it
of the
yet.
conversation in that movie is like, yeah, he has all these different identities, and the whole argument with like the therapist is like each identity even has its own like biological changes along with that certain identity. Like one of his identities has like diabetes, and like, but the other ones, like when he's the other identity, they like it doesn't affect him.
Wild.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because that was on the list too.
The ones that stand out to me right now, Radio Flyer.
Radio Fly.
Radio Flyer.
I've never heard of
You
it.
never heard of it?
No.
With Elijah Wood.
No, never heard of it.
So Elijah Wood and I think it's Elijah Wood and this other kid, they're brothers, and they have, I don't know if it's their father or their stepfather, but he's abusive, and like one of the younger brother is the one who gets abused, like physically. So he like has this fantasy plot where he takes like a radio flyer wagon and he retrofits it to be like this flying device, and he's planning to like launch himself and to escape. And I don't know if it's a metaphor for suicide, or an allegory to it or whatever. But yeah, I remember that one was just kind of like watching it as a kid. I remember it scared me because there's like a part in there where they have like a buffalo that like talks to this kid like telepathically. Talks to, I think, Elijah Wood's character. I remember that just being so strange. So I would like to rewatch it myself, but I just remember like it being kind of really heavy and like a mental health tone, like especially from the kid's perspective.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of his abuse that he suffered. But I think it's told from the perspective of Elijah Wood as the older brother. So it's told through his eyes. Another one that stands out to me is it's a documentary called The Disruptors, and it's about kids who have ADHD and like their different experiences, and then their parents as well, being the parents of these kids who, are having struggles like with school and socially and so on because of the nature of their neurodivergence. There's parts of it where you're just like, damn, like that's crazy. Like I didn't think about it like that. It goes to show you how stigmatized that is too. The Lord of the Rings. I mean, Gollum, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That's one of the main reasons, like, I fuck with the Two Towers so much, because, I mean, Andy Serkis goes in with that performance, but, the ring corrupted him, and he became so obsessed with it, that he developed, like, a whole other personality, Similar to, like, what you're talking about, Split, And, like, and in the story, like, he went to, like, the depths, like, dude was snatching babies out of people's houses to eat, So, I mean, and like, the compassion that Gandalf shows towards him, when in speaking to Frodo, like, when he was like, oh, he deserves to die, that's when he tells him, like, Like who are you to decide that? You know, like he was a person once, like you know, and he was corrupted, and he's suffering, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would say that from that angle, you know what I mean. But also because like it's just worth watching because it's like the illest movie ever, you know.
I would even say Fight Club.
Dude, for sure.
Like, I know it's gotten that reputation of being like that bro movie now, but yeah, like to me it shows like the lengths the mind will go to, like when it just breaks basically. Because of like the character that he's like struggling with, like this identity struggle, and like there's like these theories that Marla Singer like is also one of his identities because he's like struggling with like is he male female type thing, you know. So I would even put Fight Club in that.
I like that. I like that. I can't think of any more that come off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
but man, I mean, it would be really cool if somebody would have told me that there was like that idea floating around their head. I could have came a little bit more prepared.
That's why we have comments on Spotify, dude. You can list them.
That's true. That's
There
true.
you go.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, I'll think of more too.
Do you know of any? No? You've been sitting here this whole time.
Yeah. It's gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna like beat myself up when I get home. Like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm really looking at my movies. I'm like, oh, this one would have been good to mention.
Yeah.
These are just like ones that off the top of my head.
I mean, you
like,
could
popular
you can
ones.
easily like, you know, kind of find that in a lot of different movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I guess Everything Everywhere All at Once. To me, that was just like, bro, this is all about an ADHD woman and like her struggles with just having to with that, you know. Like that's what that stood out to me, you know, because that shit's fucking nuts, you know. Like, and if you're not someone who's like has like an experience like that, it could be like a really intense movie, you know what I mean? But like for me, I mean, I can see like it's intense, but like it's easier for me to like really follow along, connect with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because like I have like I come in a little too high. I'm so I can relate to it a lot in a way.
And there's a ton of documentaries. I just didn't list the documentaries because I feel like those are just obvious. Like if you're looking at them, like you'll know what they're about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely recommend you guys watch Radio Flyer. I think you guys would really like that movie.
Yeah, I never heard of it. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's like a '90s film. So it's like when Elijah Wood is like a boy.
Yeah.
You know. So.
So he looks the same.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks like Frodo without the scaling double. Like if he was able to play Frodo, you know, for real.
Funny. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No.
What about music or albums, other than the one you mentioned earlier?
See, that's why I didn't even think about music.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's like, you know, Idea and Abilities.
Yeah.
You know, Idea and Abilities is a huge one. Like a lot of the Anticon stuff, dude. You know.
Well, I had mentioned like in my story how I specifically mentioned Against Me. I played an Against Me record. They have a lot of good songs that have to do with that. I mentioned Connor Oberst, Ruminations.
Well, even some of the later like Against Me stuff, like
The
like,
transgender
yeah,
dysphoria.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she's just a good songwriter, dude.
100%.
But yeah, Bright Eyes, anything Bright Eyes.
Yeah, dude.
Or Elliott Smith.
Yeah,
Smith.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought like, what was it? Blacklisted.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I mean, that shit.
That the
hit
Heavier
different.
Than Heaven, Lonelier
Bro.
Than God. That album.
Like, what is it? Like and
And then even the one after that, No One Deserves to Be Here More Than You.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
Like everything in my apartment is for sale.
That George, he put himself out there on
For
those
real.
albums, like
For real.
like in a concerning way almost.
Yeah. But even like and then in like on another for Have Heart.
Yeah.
You know, but like on a more like with a different type of intention behind it. You know what I mean?
There's Dystopia.
Dude, oh my god, dude.
Dystopia is
All
just
right.
like...
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Yeah, dude, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. With that being said, how do you feel about Eddie's announcement?
Oh, man, dude, I'm excited, dude. You know, look, all honesty, watching you have fun with my son the way you do makes me very excited to see the type of father you're going to be.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he remembers you, you know, and he gets excited to see you. And I am excited for you to have that every day.
I know, dude. I can't wait. Well, I mean, by now everyone's gonna know.
This is gonna come out in like 3 weeks.
Yes. So the reason we're having that little get together on Saturday is kind of to break the news to all the friends, I guess, all the homies. Yeah. So, but that's why I asked you ahead of time. I was like, should I wait for Saturday? But you told me you know you're gonna be you have prior engagements, something like that. I mean, it would be cool to break it to you like live.
Oh,
get your
dude.
reaction.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, she's gonna be a girl. And
Wait, what the fuck? You guys already know that?
Yeah, she'll be here in November.
So how far along are you?
5 months.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I didn't want to tell anyone until I knew like the gender and like because I feel like it didn't even hit me until like
Do you
now.
do you
Like,
guys
but
have names picked out?
not yet?
No.
Fidel. Yeah.
Do you guys have anything right now that you guys are kind of like tossing around like this sounds good as of the moment but might change? Like,
Are you willing to share that?
or
live?
yeah, or you don't have to share it. It can be personal.
Fidelita.
Dude, I didn't believe him when he told me.
Really?
Yeah, he told me here in the living room, and he told me, and I was like, "Fuck off!" Like, no, you're not. Like,
Dude, I wish I would have got Fidel's reaction. It was funny, dude.
Honestly, dude, not on my bingo card.
yeah, exactly.
Not on my Loteria
so
card, dude.
really quick, because I know this episode is dragging forever. When I broke it to my family, none of them believed me. So we actually made a cake, and this was before I even knew the gender. We did like a little gender reveal with my family, and
Bloody.
so when I bought out the cake, it was like a heart shaped like beautiful cake that said what did it say? Yeah, it's coming November 2024. I put it down, and everyone's like, nah. Nobody, like, even then, when I bought out the cake, nobody believed me. And so, like, they're like, asking Ellie, like, are you serious? And they were fucking shocked, dude.
Damn.
Like, I do have, like, this funny video of them, and they're just like, what? Like, they're just, like,
Shocked.
you could tell, like, it just hit them, like, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's funny. My niece was like, that was not on my radar. This like I was not expecting that. So they're super excited. They're stoked. They're gonna have a baby.
That's really cool.
So
and shout out to you for putting your best foot forward on like your self care. To prepare for something like that.
Oh, dude, if I had any even a little bit of doubt, I would not have made that. Because she wasn't an accident. We discussed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I was like, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned it. This is all.
Yeah, it was pre-planned. We talked about it, and that's how I know. Like, I'm
ready.
certain. That I'm ready for it. I'm gonna be a great dad because of that.
I'm really happy for you, dude. I'm really proud of you, dude. That's super cool.
Yeah,
super cool. If you need anything, dude, I got you.
Thank you.
Like I'm full of unsolicited advice. Like. Just cherish every moment, dude.
Yeah.
It happens fast, bro.
I know, dude. Like,
it
I
all
feel
happens
like
fast,
your
dude.
kids are just
Yeah.
tiny little things. Like,
I know.
It's crazy.
Take lots of video.
Yeah.
You have everything you need. There's no excuse.
No, I do
Document everything, dude.
That's I'm planning on making a little video on Saturday. I want to capture like all my friends' reactions to it and stuff, and just post it. So, yeah, like I'm excited. We're both excited, and like I said, like I'm happy.
He actually announced it on the previous episode we did, but he like talked to me and he's like, actually, I want to do it with Jose. So I edited all that out.
I'm honored.
Yeah,
I'm honored that you thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Like I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Dude. So like, one last thing, when I did the gender reveal, dude, I like telling the story because she just cracks up every time I tell it. I was so
How would you let her
nervous,
tell it?
dude.
You let her tell it.
She won't.
Dude, I was nervous. My hands were shaking.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, once I found out the gender, like I didn't care, dude.
Yeah.
I just want the baby to be healthy. I don't care if it's a
Word.
boy, girl, whatever. But I was like nervous because like from now on, like once I know the gender, like in my head, I'm gonna kind of like picture like what it's gonna be like. It's just gonna change my life forever.
Yeah.
So I was so nervous, dude, and like, I was trying to film it while feeling these like emotional and like trying to cut this cake and like I was just so fucking overwhelmed, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so much like in my head that like everything did not go the way I wanted it to. Not like it didn't go bad or anything, but it just not at all what I pictured. And like immediately, like what do you, like in gender reveals when you find out the baby, like you like celebrate, you're like yeah, and you like you hug your partner and like you get excited. I did not do that, dude. I found the gender. I was so fucking nervous, dude. Like I went immediately. My brain went to work mode. I started serving cake like I was at my fucking job, dude. I was like, oh, right. I cut him like, okay, girl, all right, who needs a fucking slice? I just started cutting it, dude. Like, dude, I was just like, not the reaction I would have thought, dude. But it wasn't because like I wasn't happy. I was just like, I was so overwhelmed, dude.
Yeah.
And I saw this cake in front of me and I had a knife in my hand and I was cutting slices. I'm like, okay, my mom needs a slice. My brother needs a slice. Like, it was just funny, dude.
That's
but it's
hilarious.
just 'cause I was so overwhelmed, dude. Like, so now that like I kind of like got the jitters out, like on Saturday, I'm hoping like I'll actually be able to focus on filming and like not be nervous and shit, you know?
How were you feeling as you were coming to the announcement to Jose?
I felt at ease, but only because like that other story was a little like heavy. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I had like given it my all.
Yeah.
So like I felt like okay, this is like
Here's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. That was very well
but
done.
I was curious, but yeah, that reaction was exactly what I thought.
Because before you got here, we were talking about it. Like, I was like, so how are you going to tell him? Like, how are you going to reveal it? And then he's like, oh, I have an idea. He's like, I'm going to tell a story. But that's all he told me. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I have this other idea, which I'm glad you didn't go with. Because I was like, oh, did you listen to the podcast that he sent us? And then he was like, oh, not really. And I was like, yeah, me neither. Like, I kind of skimmed through it. But there was a talking point on it where the guy talks about, like, how men also get post-traumatic stress from, like, a pregnancy.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Yeah, and so I told him, I was like, why don't you, like, bring that up and then ask him, like, for advice. And then he'll probably be like, well, what do you mean? And then do the announcement like that.
That would be very confusing.
Yeah.
I would have been very confused. It sounded really stupid. I'm glad you did it that way. So did you think that I would, like, what did you think my reaction was going to be?
In my head, my initial thing was like the first words out of your mouth were gonna be like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, knowing your personality, like that was gonna be your reaction.
Yeah.
Which was similar to what you said, but yeah, I mean, you reacted how I thought you would.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
Which is cool. Yeah.
I'm hyped, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, like I'm stoked. I'm happy that I'm getting a lot of support, not just from family, from friends, like so I'm looking forward to it. Having a little one running around. Super excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's cool, man. Especially when you feel like you're ready.
Yeah. I feel like, like it kind of like the cool thing about having kids when you're younger. It's like by the time they're like teenagers, you're still like really young.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm also like I wouldn't have been anywhere near as mature as I am now, like back
Yeah.
then, or even in the right mindset.
For sure.
So like I'm glad I waited, and I feel like this is the perfect time for it. And like I said, the only thing I'm nervous for is I just hope everything goes well. Cause that's something I never thought about. Like so many things that go wrong.
Yeah.
It's scary, dude. And like right now, my goal is just to make Ellie feel like comfortable and
Just be supportive, dude.
Yeah.
Just be
like,
supportive, dude.
whatever she needs, like make sure she has it.
Yeah.
And just make these like months as comfy as possible. And
Yeah.
as fun as possible.
they their health has to come first.
Yeah. Because like I said, a lot can go wrong, and it's fucking scary. Like I feel like every time we go to the doctors just for a checkup, like I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sweating bullets. Like,
I know.
it
Gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse. Like
I'm sure, dude.
Yeah. Like even when they're born, like it just
so
gets worse,
scary.
dude.
Yeah.
Like you're like, because then they're here, and then you're like, okay, for sure, it's like
Dude.
real.
Yeah, so like I don't know, I was talking to her about it. I'm like, because on the last episode, Raymond, how he was talking about like how like we used to like ride our bikes late at night, like miles away from the home, and like he's like, I can't even imagine like being like having my girls like like outside like without my
100%.
supervision. And I'm the same way, dude. I'm like, oh my god, I was doing shit I should not have been doing.
When we were driving back from the show in Oxnard,
Yeah.
I remember telling Fidel, like, because there was a bunch of youngsters, like,
A lot of kids are.
yeah, dude, like,
At the show?
Yeah.
and yeah, like, let's say girls that were what, maybe like 15,
Maybe.
16 years old,
Yeah.
tops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell like someone looked like they were like they had turned some bottles up, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was like, bro, like that was me.
Yeah.
You know, like I was mad worried for them, and I was thinking to myself, telling him, I was like, bro, like I've been there,
Yeah.
and I've put myself in some really crazy scenarios.
Yeah.
You're right. Like I'd be damned. You know.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna, like I said, that drone footy parent, like you can't help it, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel that, dude. You
Yeah.
know, so you're gonna get a lot more grays. You know, it's gonna be fun, dude. It's a cool experience, man. Like I wouldn't trade. Like I always wanted to be a father. I always knew. Like I didn't care what I was gonna do with my life, like work wise. All I know is that I wanted to do creative things, and I wanted to be somebody's dad. You know, and it is the most rewarding thing that I've done. It is the hardest thing I've ever done, and it's like the most overwhelming thing that I've ever experienced. But like in so many beautiful ways. Like I learned so much from my kids, you know, and they teach me so much about myself, and that is so beautiful. I love feeling like I'm growing up with them. Like the life that I have with them is so beautiful, and I'm excited for that. For you to have that, dude. That's super awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah, you should be.
So,
Yeah, dude. Now you can fucking choke slam little kids. Dude. It's super sick, dude.
I've been doing it all my life, dude. But yeah, I'm stoked, dude. It feels good to like finally like tell people,
Yeah.
you know.
I can't wait to see everybody's reaction on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny.
Hell yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me, man. Appreciate you thinking of me as someone you wanted to share that with like this. You know,
Yeah, dude.
I can appreciate that.
Hey, I was first.
Yeah. We weren't talking about you though.
I know.
We're talking about me and Eddie.
No, it's funny because like I told Fidel before, like I mean I told anyone only because I feel like I spend out of anyone more time with Fidel. Like I feel like it was only right, and like I feel like he's the one that like
I shut up for you and make me cry.
he was here, you know. No, like I'm glad. Like I knew right away. Like okay, I need to tell Fidel. You know, he's my like partner in crime in this. So, yeah, and I knew he was gonna be stoked, and so. But
He's holding your hand
particularly-
while it was happening?
Huh?
He's holding your hand while it was happening?
He was holding something, dude. I'm not gonna...
Nah, he hit me up one day. He's like, "Hey, dude, I'm trying to do this thing called soaking. Like, you down to help me out?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is, but all right, you're my homie. Let's go."
I don't know what that is.
Google it.
No, I'm not going to.
No, honestly, like I do, like to sound cheesy, sappy. Like it feels good that like he thinks of me in that regard.
Yeah, that's
you
what I'm
know?
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you're a special person to me, so I'm honored to feel that way, right? You know,
Yeah.
like I look forward to being like a part, like of that. You know,
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be fun. You know, now my kid is gonna be the only little one at like punk shows, dude.
I know it's gonna
It's gonna be awesome, dude.
be awesome. Dude.
Yeah, you need anything, bro? Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
fucking got you, and I got.
You
baby.
need anything, Jose got you, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right, well, I'm gonna end it there on Eddie's first serious episode
I
where
know.
he drops two bombshell
Word.
stories on
Yeah,
us.
never
Word.
again, dude. This was work. I want to go back to talking about movies.
That's what's up.
No, it was. I'm happy to share all this with you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was tight, dude.
this was fun.
This was.
This is a certified hood classic.
That's where it goes. See you guys next time.